Meu amigo e minha amiga, estamos aqui para mais uma rodada de entrevistas com Marco Weiss, um dos mais brilhantes fotógrafos do mundo do rock em todos os tempos. Presta atenção porque nós teremos hoje convidados também muito legais. Presta só atenção aí. Opa, meu amigo e minha amiga, vou interromper um pouquinho essa nossa conversa, porque eu tenho uma coisa muito legal para mostrar para vocês, uma dica sensacional. Olha isso aqui. Olha isso. Deixa eu mostrar aqui para vocês. Olha que livro espetacular. Olha isso. Tá vendo? Olha o tamanho, olha o luxo desse livro aqui, ó. É A Década do Rock, do fotógrafo Mark WEISSGUY Weiss, um dos mais renomados profissionais da fotografia do rock de todos os tempos. E ele acaba de lançar esse livro aqui, luxuosíssimo, com mais de 700 fotos de várias bandas. Van Halen, Aerosmith, Motley Crue, Metallica, Guns N' Roses, Kiss, Ozzy Osbourne, Bon Jovi e muitos outros. Além disso, esse livro aqui traz entrevistas inéditas com toda essa turma e histórias contadas pelo próprio Weiss, que viveu essa época de uma maneira muito intensa. Para quem quer entender por que essa turma redefiniu os padrões roqueiros dos anos 80, cara, é uma obra imprescindível. E você pode adquirir esse livro com o mesmo método que a gente sempre usa e oferece a você, meu amigo e minha amiga que acompanha o nosso canal. Basta você clicar no link aqui embaixo ou no QR Code que você está vendo aí na tela e preencher o cupom de desconto com Regis Tadeu Indica. Tudo junto. E você vai adquirir esse livro aqui, cara, com 20% de desconto. Exclusivo para quem acompanha o nosso canal, tá bom? Então não esquece, clica no link aqui embaixo ou no QR Code, preenche o cupom de desconto com Regis Tadeu Indica, tudo junto, e você vai ter esse livro aqui, cara, olha que sensacional. Olha o Ozzy. Pois é, você vai adquirir essa obra maravilhosa com 20% de desconto, tá bom? Recado tá dado. Vamos em frente com o papo. Meu amigo e minha amiga, como eu avisei agora na entrada aqui na apresentação do nosso vídeo, nós estamos aqui para mais uma rodada de entrevistas com um dos mais brilhantes e renomados fotógrafos de todos os tempos, que é Mr. Mark Weiss, que está aqui mais uma vez, gentilmente conversando aqui com a gente, e claro, com a presença sempre do Paulo BARÓN, fazendo as suas lambanças musicais aí, como sempre. E teremos, mais uma vez, a brilhante participação e o brilhante trabalho da querida Candice Soldatelli, que é a nossa tradutora aqui. Então, hello, everybody.
Hi.
Hello. Hi.
Hi. Again.
Again, again and again and again. Para quem, evidentemente, está assistindo esse vídeo agora, o Mark é o autor dessa obra-prima da fotografia, que é Década do Rock, né, que lançou aqui recentemente, cheio de fotografias sensacionais. Eu vou abrir uma página qualquer e você vai encontrar uma fotografia legal. Ó. Olha só, genial. Qualquer página que você abrir, ó. Aqui, tem uma foto bacana. E, evidentemente, que a gente vai continuar batendo um papo aqui com o Mark e com a presença do Paulo BARÓN e da Candice. Mark,
Yes.
Everybody knows here in Brazil that Decade That Rocket is one of the most amazing photo books of all times. But I want to do a question. Did you have any difficulties in choosing the photos for the book, having so many of them in your career?
Yeah, it was quite a task, and it's a task I didn't even want to do, and I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I knew I had to. So I started with the early years, which is pretty easy because I did that. It was going to be very select photographs from when I started sneaking into concerts, so Led Zeppelin and Peter Frampton and Kiss. So that was kind of easy. But then when 1980 hit, and each year after that, it got more and more difficult because each year I would be doing more and more photo shoots. And we really had to limit it. Originally, the book was only supposed to be like under 300 pages. And so I kind of like did a rough design on it. And in the layouts, it said, each page, it was like a double page spread. And it said 300. So I'm like, all right, I hit it. I turned it in, and what I didn't realize that it was actually 300 times 2. It was 600 pages I designed. So the art director went, no, we got to cut out 300 pages. And I'm like, what? So we ended up cutting out 100 and making it almost 400 pages. But that was very, very difficult. It's like, throwing which baby do you want to keep, And I had to, just carefully choose telling the story, because I wanted this book to be specifically about my journey and what shoots were important to me, not what was like the biggest bands, even though the biggest bands were most important, but still there's smaller bands that had a story to tell, like Tough in 1990. They were never a huge band, but if you read the book, it goes with it,
Right.
Então, o Regis perguntou para o Mark, porque todo mundo aqui no Brasil está admirando esse trabalho, esse livro maravilhoso, né? Acho que é um dos maiores livros de fotografia que já apareceram por aqui sobre rock. Então, o Regis perguntou se o Mark teve alguma dificuldade na hora que teve que sentar para escolher, selecionar as fotos que fariam parte do livro. Então, o Mark disse que foi uma tarefa muito difícil, né? Porque, afinal de contas, né? Ele sabia que ia ser difícil, mas ele sabia que tinha que fazer. Então, ele começou pelos primeiros anos, naqueles shows nos anos 70, em que ele se enfiava lá no meio do show, meio anônimo ainda, né, as primeiras fotos. Depois foi mais complicado nos anos 80, porque daí cada vez ele trabalhava mais e mais e mais, e tinha cada vez mais fotos interessantes. E aí, a ideia inicial, ele achava que iam sair 300 páginas o livro, aí depois a editora disse, não, vai ser 600, mas depois... Não, gente, são páginas duplas, vai ter que cortar. Então, na hora de cortar o que ele já tinha selecionado, foi muito complicado, porque e agora, que filho que eu vou escolher, né, de tudo o que eu já produzi? E aí ele disse que, na verdade, na hora de selecionar, ele tinha mais em mente, não as maiores bandas, as mais bem-sucedidas, mas as melhores histórias para contar, porque ele queria contar, era a jornada dele nesse mundo do rock, então as melhores histórias para contar foi um dos critérios que ele adotou. Ele disse que também, né, nos anos 90, parecia que não tinha muita coisa, mas tinham histórias de bandas menores, mas muito interessantes. Então, o critério dele era esse, que melhores histórias havia para contar por meio daquelas fotos.
Mark, talking about that, about the great pictures, this one, what is the story behind that one? Because this is the introduction of everything. Tell me, what is the story, and tell me, the guys, they look like a very rebel guys. So at that time, Guns N' Roses means exactly the same what is in this picture?
Yeah, I spent a week with them in New York City a few weeks before that when they played CBGB's, and I did a photo shoot at my studio. So we really became close, and they were giving me a lot of access. And I was actually, I didn't even know they were opening up for Motley Crue, and I went down there to shoot Motley Crue in Florida, and I just saw, I said, wow, I saw Steven Adler in the, just walking around as I got off, the cab, and he's like, hey, Mark, how's it going? And I said, good, man. I go, oh, you guys are opening up? He goes, yeah. He goes, you want to shoot the show? I said, yeah, of course. So, so then I said, well, can you talk to the guys and tell them I'm here and ask if we can do a photo shoot? And he's like, yeah, I'll talk to Axel and the guys. Sure, man. Anything for you. Steven was great, And so he came up to me before they went on stage, and he said, you know, come back after the show, and we'll do something. So I shot some of the set. I got set up for Motley, and I ran back there with some lights, and he said, come on in. And they were all in, like, you know, Axel was in a row, in, like, you know, he had a towel on, and I was like, you want me to come back? And he's like, no, this is it, man. This is it. He puts on his boots and his hat, and I was like, all right, this is cool, you know. And then I said, Steven, help me get the other guys, you know, because then, you know, so then we all started getting the other guys, and I just threw them there, you know, and it was just a moment. It was like a 5-minute shoot. And then afterwards, Axel got dressed, and we did some more photos, which it's a big part of the book. There's a bunch of photos of that in there. And deciding the photograph, because I wasn't sure who it was going to be. You know, I wanted it to be Van Halen, because they were kind of like the band that kind of shifted 70s to 80s. I thought about Ozzy, Motley Crue. The picture that was on the back with Ozzy and Tommy, I kind of liked, but that was kind of a little risque, and Ozzy's in drag, and you couldn't even tell it was him, really. So that photograph just spoke to me, and it spoke to the editors too, and we all agreed that would be it. And even with the middle finger, you know, they went for it.
Yeah.
O Paulo perguntou para o Mark, né, qual é a história por trás da foto da capa, né, que é uma foto do Guns N' Roses, né, e o Paulo perguntou que se o Guns naquela época, né, eles pareciam tão rebeldes, será exatamente isso aí mesmo que aparecia na foto. Então o Mark começou a contar toda a história dessa sessão de fotos que originou a foto da capa. Então ele passou uma semana em Nova York, na verdade ele estava acompanhando o Motley Crue, e o Guns na época estava abrindo shows para o Motley, né, e eles iam fazer alguma apresentação no CBGB, e aí o Mark foi pegar um táxi e acabou topando com o Steve Adler, que era o baterista do Guns naquela época, né, na formação original. E aí ele disse, daí o Steve perguntou, Mark, tu vai fotografar o show? E o Mark disse, sim, depois do show, né, a gente pode se encontrar. E o Mark pediu isso, será que eu posso fotografar o Guns N' Roses? E o Steve disse que ia conversar com os outros caras, aí eles combinaram tudo, então depois do show, aí apareceu o Axl Rose de toalha, com um chapéu, né, e as botas, assim, num visual meio estranho, que daí acabou resultando naquela fotografia. E eles usaram o mesmo set que estava montado lá para o Motley Crue, e aí ele só trocou um pouco as luzes e tal, mas que a banda realmente era aquilo lá, né, eles eram bem espontâneos, né. E uma outra coisa que o Mark observou é que teve uma sessão que durou uns 5 minutos, assim, saíram várias fotos que estão no livro, tá? Elas são grande parte do livro, essas fotos com o Guns N' Roses, e na capa, o Mark tinha até pensado em colocar o Van Halen, porque o Van Halen fez bem essa transição dos anos 70 para os anos 80, também chegaram a discutir de usar aquela foto do Ozzy que ele tá de drag, né? Mas aí acabaram, o Mark diz, não, essa foto do Guns é que falou melhor comigo, que me trouxe, assim, uma impressão melhor do que eu queria passar como livro.
See this.
Amazing.
Então,
I love these pictures, Mark.
Vocês estão vendo? Dá para ver aqui.
Yeah.
It's impressive. Like you capture all the sense of humor of Ozzy Osbourne. And how did those crazy, perverted and funny pictures at the same time comes about?
You know, I was a young kid. I was like 21 when I first met him. It was my first photo shoot, and it was one of my first covers for Circus Magazine, which is a big magazine. They gave me a chance. They said, you know, you want to do a cover for Ozzy. You got to go to his hotel, set up lights. And I'm like, I'm not going to say no. I said, yeah. And then I set this up, and the pink tutu came kind of as it wasn't supposed to be the cover. It was supposed to be a small black and white photograph, because we had a special section in the magazine for that issue called, it was called the High School Rock and Roll Yearbook. and Ozzy was voted most athletic because of his jumping around.
Yeah.
And so I brought boxing gloves with me. And then and then he came in with the tutu, and there was the boots in the corner, and it was kind of like a takeoff of fairies wear boots. And I submitted it as a black and white, but I had to shoot it in color too, dropped off the photos. Next thing you know it's on the cover. And Ozzy wasn't happy about it when it came out. I had no idea. I was new photographer.
Yeah.
And it was my first photo shoot with Ozzy. And I'm like, oh my God, I blew it, you know? Yeah. And then they didn't talk to me for a little bit. And then they started getting a lot of publicity from it. And it turned out to be a positive thing. And then we embraced it for the next time and the next time. And then I started coming up with crazier stuff. And, you know, when we were in Brazil, I remember we pulled over. I think it was in the mid 80s. They played the show down there, and we pulled over. I got these piranha fish, and I put them in the water, and we pulled over, and I put Ozzy and Jakey Lee in the water with the piranhas jumping up, and Ozzy was, and you know, they looked like they were circling him, you know, so he was up for anything.
Mark, was there really piranhas? Yeah, really piranha fish on the bathtub? Is that so?
Well, they were stuffed. You know, they were like in the souvenir shop.
Okay.
So I put them on sticks, and I put them in the water.
Ok, então o Regis, né, tava mostrando as fotos do Ozzy, né, que estão entre as mais malucas, assim, né, a concepção super criativa, super loucas, e aí ele perguntou, né, como é que foi para o Mark capturar esse senso de humor único do Ozzy Osbourne, né. Então, ele disse que a primeira vez que ele fotografou o Ozzy foi para um trabalho para Circus Magazine, né, que até ele era um jovem fotógrafo, não era famoso, não era conhecido, então foi uma oportunidade única. E a Circus tinha uma seção da revista que pareciam daqueles livros escolares norte-americanos, sabe, aqueles livros de formatura? Então, ele tinha tirado a foto, aí, em princípio, ele ia fazer a foto do Ozzy como um cara atlético, de tanto que ele pulava no palco, né, mas ele conseguiu fotografar tanto em preto e branco quanto em cores, e aí quando ele viu, a foto dele estava na capa da revista, né? E o Ozzy ficou muito feliz com o resultado, e a partir disso, então, começou a ser a relação de trabalho. E aí o Mark conta uma passagem dele com o Ozzy aqui no Brasil, que daí ele pegou umas piranhas, né, empalhadas, colocou assim, tipo, num espeto, num pauzinho, e colocou dentro de uma banheira, e o Ozzy topava tudo, né, então ficou essas fotos com as piranhas, assim, dentro da banheira. Então ele disse que sempre rolou muito bom humor nessas sessões de foto com o Ozzy Osbourne.
A real piranha would not bite Ozzy.
I don't think so. The piranha would be afraid of Ozzy, I think.
Yeah. Hi, Bobby.
Hi.
Hola, Bobby.
Hello, Bobby.
Hello. Hola, Mark Weiss, everyone.
Hey, brother.
Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you, Bob.
Happy in our COVID situation?
Bob, your sound is very bad. Can you do a better?
Can you turn up the Mr. Ellsworth? Can you turn up the microphone, please, a little bit?
Is that any better? Just better?
Okay. That's okay.
I'll change my headphones, no problem.
Mark, do you remember the first time that you meet Mark?
Oh, geez, this had to be back in. Mark's a regular Jersey guy, so we always got along. We had a lot of the same attitude. We had the same upbringing. I think Mark first started working with us. Was it back in Years of Decay, Mark? Back in '89?
It was 87, I think. He came to my studio in New York City on the roof. I think that was our first photo shoot.
Oh, that's right. That's right. With the real tight jacket I had
this
on.
picture.
Right.
Oh yeah,
I had a lot
picture?
more. Yeah, I had a lot more hair then. Yeah, this is.
that was
this
the
is,
roof.
Yeah, but that's a Years of Decay shirt on Dee. So I know that that's 89.
Oh, 89? Okay. Yeah, that was.
I'm pretty sure because that's a Years of Decay shirt on him. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's it then.
So yeah, we did. That's right. We did it in your studio in the city. But then we worked with you on and off for years after that, man. I mean, we did.
Oh, yeah.
You even did that video for us in '94, Fast Junkie.
Yep, Fast Junkie.
Actually, your son was in it.
I know, and I know how old that video is because he's now 28. So he was a baby in that. So
Yeah, he was like it was in the crowd or something, wasn't he? And
he was crying like a baby. And then recently, not recently, but right before right when the COVID was happening, he was playing down in Florida, and I was visiting my son, and they were playing, and I remember Bobby was like coughing, and he had like a cold. And I'm like, oh my God, I thought, and that was when COVID was happening, and he's, you always hug everyone, because we love everyone, and I didn't want to hug him, but he just came up to me and gave me a big hug, and it's like, all right, either we all got it or no one's got it. I was nervous.
We saw you like 2 days before the tour ended. I saw you in Orlando.
Right.
And that was around, that was the 10th of March. Because then we went, then we were going north, and we were canceled by the time we got to Charlotte on the 12th, we were done. So I saw you 2 days before the shutdown, yeah.
Então, né? Oi, Bobby. My name is Candice. I'm the
antes de você traduzir, deixa eu só dizer uma coisa. Para quem não sabe, o nosso segundo convidado aqui, além do Mark, é ninguém menos do que Bobby Blitz, vocalista de uma das bandas mais espetaculares de metal de todos os tempos, que é o Overkill. Uma banda extremamente romântica, evidentemente, como Bob, Overkill is a romantic band, né? A ballad band, né?
Obrigado.
Candice, por favor, pode traduzir.
Então o Regis perguntou para o Bob quando que foi a primeira vez que ele conheceu o Mark, né? Então eles disseram que eles tinham muita identificação com o Mark, porque era o mesmo tipo de atitude, o mesmo tipo de estilo de vida, né? Então eles se conheceram em 1989, quando o Bob foi até o estúdio do Mark para uma sessão de fotos da Overkill, né? E aí até o Bob brinca que ele tinha mais cabelo naquela época, né? E aí, então, ele disse que também o Mark trabalhou com vídeo, também com a Overkill, e aí eles estavam lembrando, né, a última vez que eles tinham se visto antes da pandemia, que foi logo um pouquinho antes de fechar tudo, né, quando o Covid-19 começou, né, quando a pandemia começou. E aí o Mark conta que ele foi visitar o filho dele lá na Flórida, e eles foram para o show do Bob, e no show o Bob estava tossindo muito, né, e aí depois nos bastidores o Mark tinha até medo de abraçar o Bob, porque vai que ele já estava com o Covid, né, eles podiam se contaminar, né, e ainda o Regis fez uma brincadeira com o Bob, dizendo, Bob, a Overkill é uma banda super famosa, super romântica, uma banda só de balada, né, e o Bob deu uma gargalhada, né, e agradeceu, obrigado, né.
The image is so important that Overkill released in 1987 a mini album called Fuck You, with an appraised middle finger on the cover. That title and image for me was a political statement. Why is it that almost no one uses the same means of delivering a message these days? Bob and Mark.
I'll leave that one to Bobby.
Well, I think that was, you know, we didn't know it was political then. It was more, you know, we were kids. We were looking to make waves. We were looking to be noticed. But simultaneously, what was happening back in 1987 was, if you remember Dee Snider going to Washington, D.C. and confronting the PMRC, it ran simultaneously with that. So us throwing up the middle finger when records were going to be stickered as not suitable for young people in the States, it just so happened to work out with us. So it became something synonymous to the band. And I think that we've always kind of, I think Mark can testify to this, we've always, Jersey guys always have that kind of, you know, I don't really care what you think, go fuck yourself, I'm doing my own thing. This will work for us perfectly. But thinking about it from political standpoint, we were just looking originally to make noise and have people, you know, latch onto the band and our attitude. But it did work out simultaneously what was going on politically at the time.
Então, o Regis disse, né, que a Overkill, ela tinha uma relação muito forte com a imagem que eles queriam passar, né, tipo um posicionamento político forte, como o álbum Fuck You, né, que tinha o dedo do meio sendo mostrado bem explicitamente, né. Então, o Regis perguntou se era importante para eles essa questão do posicionamento político. E aí o Bob explica que na época eles nem se davam muita conta de que era um posicionamento político, mas que ele lembra, inclusive, que esse álbum saiu na mesma época que o Dee Snider foi até Washington e acabou enfrentando, né, aquela CPI sobre os malefícios do rock, né, que ficou bem famoso, que o Dee Snider foi lá defender os músicos, os artistas do rock and roll. E aí, então, o Bob explica que isso é uma atitude muito típica desses músicos, né, da região de Nova Jersey, né, essa atitude do tipo, não tô nem aí, o que vocês pensam, eu sou desse jeito, né, esse é o meu posicionamento, uma atitude mais firme, né, um posicionamento mais claro, de não se importar muito com o que os outros pensam.
Bobby was right. Like, I thought it was a universal language. It is, I guess, but I think us Jersey guys, you know, made it more of a vocabulary. It's like, fuck it, fuck you, fuck off, you know, fuck it, you know. You know, it doesn't mean what it means. And then, you know, Dee Snider kind of coined it, you know, I'm an SMF. And when I went with Dee Snider to the Senate hearings, it's like Al Gore was there with his wife, Tipper. And when Dee walked in, he sat down with confidence, Dee, you know, and I remember Al, like, it was his turn to talk. And he looked at Dee and he goes, so, Mr. Snider, what does SMF stand for? It's like he got him, you know. Dee goes, it stands for sick motherfucker, friends of Twisted Sister, you know. It's like, it's a word. It doesn't mean like having sex with anyone, you know, or anything like that. So, you know, it was kind of ironic. And then, you know, the Overkill guys had the balls actually to do that, because on Twisted Sister's next record, Dee, it's called Come Out and Play. He put a sticker on it and it says, we're going to rate ours as H for humor, which kind of like did a full turnaround, almost, you know, not doing what he went there for, instead of putting that fuck you thing out. But Blitz, they had the balls to really say fuck you. And it's been synonymous with rock and roll. It's like almost like you know, Ronnie Dio, who didn't invent the horns, but he owned it, and you know, and same with Overkill, you know. And one of the, like, every chapter in my book has a crowd photo, and I have lots of crowd photos. I love shooting crowds. I love the fans. I love turning around and seeing what's going on. And I use one crowd photo in each year that I feel depicts something. And it was, I don't even know where it was outdoor festival, and this girl had Overkill shirt on, or was holding it up and giving this good looking 16-year-old girl was giving the finger, you know. So I love that shot. It's great.
Rebel.
Então, o Mark fez uma observação sobre essa questão da atitude de Nova Jersey, né, de dizer foda-se isso, foda-se aquilo, vai te fuder, né? E mostrar o dedo do meio, que ele achava que era uma linguagem universal, que todo mundo fazia isso, mas depois ele se deu conta que realmente era uma coisa típica da galera lá de Nova Jersey, né? Então ele recupera uma memória dessa questão também da CPI no Senado do Dee Snider, quando ele foi lá enfrentar, e até o Mark lembra do Al Gore, que foi vice-presidente dos Estados Unidos, a esposa dele, Tipper Gore, que eu sempre lembro dessa Tipper Gore por causa da música do Ramones, né? Ai, Tipper, come on, né? E aí diz que o Snyder, lá na cara dura, o Al Gore perguntou, tá, mas o que quer dizer essas letras aqui? Eu achava que era alguma coisa satânica e tal. E aí o Snyder disse, não, é só, tem a ver com sexo e tal, né? E já daí o Snyder até ele recuou um pouquinho, ganhou o selo, né, de censura um pouco menos, né, menos censurado do que era, e menos rigorosa, que era Wade, daí até o Dee Snider brincava que era H de humor, né, já Overkill não estava nem aí, eles, né, assim como o Dio, né, não é o dono dos chifrinhos, né, o Overkill não se considera o dono do dedo do meio, mas realmente se popularizou bastante, e aí o Mark disse que até tem uma foto, ele gosta de tirar fotos do público, né, e no livro tem uma foto do público, e diz que tem uma moça muito linda, né, de 16 anos, com uma camiseta do Overkill, e aquela guria toda linda, mostrando o dedo do meio, né, que acabou sendo uma espécie de marca registrada da Overkill.
Paulo?
Bob, well, I noticed that some of the bands in New York, or most of the bands in New York, they have that attitude at that times, very punk attitude. Do you think that is because all of you are impacted by this punk scene from that times?
I think personally that the metal that we started, I'm not going to say we created, but we became part of back in the 80s was a combination of the new wave of British heavy metal and the punk scene that happened in New York City. I mean, when I was in the university, I picked Manhattan College so I could be relatively close to that music scene. I mean, on the weekends, you could hop a subway train down to the Village and you could see the Ramones, or you could see the Heartbreakers, or the New York Dolls were part of the scene. And it was a real punky, fuck you type of an attitude. So if you took all of that, which was the excitement of the era of the late 70s and into the 80s, you took that and you combined it with the musicianship that came out of the UK with the new wave of British heavy metal, that's really where the thrash came from. So it was taking that attitude along with that, you know, newfound way of musicianship, that newfound heavy chord, chugging guitar, and taking that punk attitude and putting it in a bag, mixing it up. And I've always said that that's really what made Overkill, was equal parts of both.
Que interessante. O Paulo perguntou, né, se a atitude punk de Nova York dos anos 70, qual foi o impacto dela na carreira do Bob e da Overkill. E aí o Bob disse que houve um impacto bem interessante, porque ele escolheu fazer faculdade em Nova York não foi por acaso, porque ele tinha essa presença lá, ele podia estar lá no meio dessa cena, né? Então ele disse que ele pegava o metrô às vezes para assistir Ramones, New York Dolls, e na mesma época começou a influência do New Wave e do heavy metal britânico. Então ele acredita que a Overkill, ela tem muito disso, né? Dessa mistura dessa cena punk, das influências do heavy metal britânico com o new wave. Então ele diz que o Overkill acabou sendo uma combinação, que o thrash metal ele acabou sendo uma combinação dessa época.
Candice, só dar um toque, não é bem a new wave, é a new wave of British heavy metal.
A nova onda. Tá,
completamente
desculpa.
diferente, tá? Beleza. Bob, some people believe in a friendship, a camaraderie between the metal bands like Overkill, Testament, Anthrax, Slayer, Metallica. Was it true, or a kind of rivalry?
Well, I've always said that it was a competition. You know, of course, you root for your friends. You feel that you have a lot of the same elements in your music. I've always told Gary Holt from Exodus, we're just kind of long lost cousins. You know, when we see each other, and you root for them, you want them to win, but you don't want them to beat you. I can make the story even better. We had Exodus on tour with us in Europe, and I was watching them, and we were going on next, and Gary came walking off the stage holding his guitar, sweating. I mean, he just put on a great show, and he said, "Beat that," and I said, "My pleasure." There's your answer.
O Regis perguntou, né, se é verdade que existe uma certa camaradagem, né, uma certa amizade, assim, entre as bandas de metal, ou se, na verdade, existe uma competição, uma rivalidade, né? E aí o Bob disse que sim, né, que o que acontece, que tu acaba torcendo pelos teus amigos, tu quer que eles se deem bem, que eles tenham sucesso, mas que existe sim uma competição, tu quer que eles vençam, mas não que eles sejam melhores do que tu. E aí ele disse que até aconteceu no final de um show, o que o Gary disse para ele, o Gary terminou de tocar e ele disse, tá, faz melhor que isso, né? E o Bob disse, prazer será meu, né? O prazer será todo meu.
Marco, what's your opinion about that?
Yeah, I mean, I can relate it to me as a photographer, with other photographers. And I know, you know, what Bobby said about the other bands. I mean, there's always, because I'm always in the dressing rooms before they go on with both bands, the opening band and the headliner. And if it's a festival, there's like 8 bands. So I'm hearing what they're saying, and Bobby's right. You know, it's like, you know, they want the best for them, but when they're not there, it's not the kindest words, you know, sometimes. But you know, with photographers, there's like a handful of us, like there's Niels Lozauer from the West Coast and Ross Halfon from England. And, you know, we were all kind of growing up together. I was the youngest one, so I was the hungriest, I think, because I was very aggressive. I wanted to do album covers. I wanted to tour with everybody. I wanted everything. And I got it too, you know. But, you know, when I was always stepping on everyone else's turfs because they didn't come to New York. I don't know why these photographers, they didn't, you know, Ross did once in a while, but Neil never did. And I would go to England and I would go to California a lot because they were shooting a lot of videos down there. And, you know, you try to get the exclusive and whatnot. So it was competitive rivalry, but, you know, now we talk to each other and we have drinks and we're friends and all that because there's, you know, it is what it is. We got what we got. I feel it made us get like better photos, more, you know, get more photos. And at the end of the day, we all have a bit of history that we share with everyone, and everyone really has their own perspective. I mean, you could put me in the room the same day with Ross and Neil and with the same band, and we come out with different photographs, even if it was the same background and everything else, because it's how you connect, you know?
Right.
O Regis perguntou se também no mundo da fotografia acontece esse tipo de rivalidade, né? Então, o Mark explica que ele assistiu essa questão das bandas, né? De ter essa rivalidade amistosa, mas nem sempre tão amistosa, porque ele ficava no backstage, tanto com a banda de abertura, quanto com a banda principal, nos festivais também, e ele percebia que tinha isso, tinha um clima até amistoso, mas por trás havia uma rivalidade e nem sempre uma banda tinha as melhores palavras para falar sobre a outra. Ele disse que entre os fotógrafos, ele menciona 2 grandes fotógrafos do rock, o Ross e o Neil, ele diz que ele era o mais jovem, então ele tinha aquela coisa mais agressiva, assim, ele sempre queria mais capas, mais revistas, mais trabalhos, mais fotos, mais coisas exclusivas, né? E aí ele diz que hoje eles são muito amigos, mas que na época rolava, assim, uma competição, só que essa competição foi muito saudável porque acabou resultando em fotos melhores, em mais trabalhos, né? Então, elevou muito o nível na época na fotografia.
Legal. Meu amigo e minha amiga, nosso terceiro e último convidado dispensa apresentações. Welcome, Mr. Bruce Kulick.
How's it going, guys?
Hi.
Fine.
How are you?
It's a great pleasure to talk with you. Welcome to your talk.
Well, nice
our talk.
Yeah, our talk. Exactly. And you're based in Brazil, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
Hang on. Let me make it louder. Okay. And I have so many terrific Brazilian fans, so this is a real honor for me.
Bruce, do you remember the first time you met Mark?
You know, I'm not really certain, though I kind of have always a great eye for Mark's photos. In other words, when I see Mark's work, I kind of already know before I see the credit. I said, Mark Weiss took that. But he'd probably remember better. I mean, I love his book, and I was real honored to get a copy. And he, gifted me a special photo that didn't, appear in the book. But he was at my home early on my years in KISS, and we did a fun photo shoot with whatever guitars I had in the living room and my Ringo Starr doll, which I still have, and I have fond memories of that. We were pretty playful in the house, just doing silly photos with a guitar case, with a baseball bat and a glove, But Mark, I was listening a little bit before you introduced me, and absolutely, all of these photographers were brilliant and all very unique in their own approach. So the same, subject, the same place will look completely different through their lenses. And all of them are part of what is rock history now, and it's been great that Mark is still working hard. And he mentioned a few others that I still keep in touch with that I know work hard very well too. And I think it's an amazing thing, just like the rockers that are still trying to be, out there and connect with the fans, that the great photographers from the 80s and the 90s and everything are now sharing their works in very, very creative ways with the public. So it's all great.
Então, o Regis apresentou, né, o Bruce, que em primeiro lugar ele disse que está muito contente de conversar com os fãs do Brasil, porque ele tem muitos fãs maravilhosos aqui no Brasil, então para ele é um prazer estar aqui conversando com a gente. E o Bruce diz que ele sempre gostou das fotos do Mark, que inclusive às vezes ele vê uma fotografia, ele nem olha o crédito, mas ele já sabe que é do Mark Weiss, pelo estilo inconfundível, né, o talento inconfundível do Mark. Ele diz que ele não lembra exatamente quando que eles se encontraram pela primeira vez, mas que ele guarda memórias muito queridas de uma época que o Mark foi na casa do Bruce e tirou fotos dele com as guitarras dele, com os cases, né? E ele guarda lembranças muito boas dessa época. E até o Bruce complementa uma parte que antes o Mark falou, que esses fotógrafos da era dos anos 80, dos anos 90, é bem o que o Mark falou antes, que às vezes era a mesma banda, o mesmo lugar, mas cada um deles tinha um olhar diferente, todos eles muito talentosos, né? E isso acabou gerando um acervo riquíssimo, né, de fotografias sobre o rock nos anos 80, 90.
Legal. Eu queria perguntar para o Bob. Bob?
Ele caiu.
Bob caiu?
Bob caiu.
Bob caiu?
Sim.
Ué, tá bom. Ok. Bruce,
Yes.
when you look back to the 80s, is there anything you wish you could have done differently back then about your visual concept in the KISS? Did you feel comfortable with that aesthetic concept, or did it out of obligation?
I've been so proud. I've never really studied everything I did in those 12 years as much as recently. First of all, the pandemic gave me more time to do it. Now I'm interacting more with my fans. And it used to be uncomfortable sometimes to watch videos from the past. And it was always a little odd to see some of the just what it was all about. I relate to it more now. I'm really, really proud of it. It's very nostalgic for me. And I do want to thank the fans for that, because I get that it made an impression on them, and then they share that with me. So not that long ago, someone was sharing the Monsters of Rock in Brazil concerts, which were really great. Now, that was towards the end of my years with KISS in 94, 95 era kind of, but I was still like blown away with the energy on stage, the powerful band that we were. I remember looking and thinking about my choices of guitars. I remember, honestly, I was a little scared about which guitars I could take, because I heard the rumor of Guns N' Roses equipment being confiscated by customs and everything. So I had to rethink things like that. And of course, everything worked out. And my guitars, even if they weren't the ones that I'd be most nervous about, I loved them all, but we never had a problem. But I just have such great memories. I wouldn't change a thing, to be quite honest. I wouldn't change any of it. I just know that I appreciate it even more now that I look back.
É bem interessante o que o Bruce coloca, porque o Regis perguntou se essa concepção visual que o Kiss tinha nos anos 80, né, como é que ele vê isso hoje, toda aquela teatralidade, né?
Muito colorido,
tudo
né?
Muito colorido, né? E o Bruce diz que esse período de pandemia tem sido muito interessante para ele, justamente para ele ter o tempo de reavaliar a carreira dele, interagir mais com os fãs. Ele diz que ele vendo os vídeos daquela época com o Kiss, ele se sente muito nostálgico e, na verdade, ele tem muito orgulho de tudo que foi feito e que, na verdade, ele fica impactado agora como o Kiss tinha essa energia sobre o público, esse poder sobre o público. E aí ele dá como exemplo, né, quando eles participaram do Monsters of Rock em 94, 95 aqui no Brasil, né, que ele diz que ele ficou impressionado, né, como os fãs reagiam, respondiam à energia da banda, ao poder da banda, mas que na época ele até tinha um pouco de medo com sobre as guitarras dele, né, porque ele diz que ele ama muito os instrumentos dele e havia um rumor que o material, né, o equipamento do Guns N' Roses havia sido confiscado pela Receita Federal brasileira, mas que graças que deu tudo certo, né, que não aconteceu nada com as guitarras dele, mas que é isso, que agora na pandemia ele está tendo esse tempo de avaliar a carreira dele e ele diz que tem muito orgulho de tudo que aconteceu.
Pessoal, infelizmente a conexão do Bob caiu, tá? Assim que ele retomar aqui, a gente retoma o papo aqui com ele, né? Bruce, the 90s was a talk time for a lot of bands that abused the colorful and flashy look. How was it for Kiss? Was the release of two of my favorite Kiss albums, Revenge and Carnival Souls, this album was an answer to those times?
I really, know that, my 12 years were really interesting. The changes of both the look and the clothing, and in many ways also the various musical styles that the band could, perform. Kiss was known for, of course, Beth, I Hear You Calling, probably really their biggest single, to Rock and Roll All Night and Detroit and stuff like that. But in my year, I look at it as Unholy and Forever, okay? Because Unholy being so, aggressive and dark, and Forever being the big love song that people get married to, okay? But specifically to your two favorite records, as we, Revenge was one of the most organic looking records for us, where I remember it was time to be in like kind of cool leather clothing instead of maybe colorful fabrics and everything. And I remember coming to the photo shoot for the album art. We didn't really have a big situation with having a style, but everybody wound up bringing some leather, okay? And there was those iconic photos that we took, and it was a really tough, mean look. And the music followed. I mean, we had Bob Ezrin, and the songwriting and the performances were all very, very, there was a big intention of doing the best we could do. And that was our revenge, okay? Because people do take a lot of, they pick on Kiss sometimes, Carnival of Souls was a reaction to Revenge, getting into, music was getting more grungy and darker, and that was like a darker version of Revenge in a way, but with a different producer. Yeah. But that producer, Toby, that worked with us, was into Alice in Chains. He knew Kiss and worked with Kiss before as more like an engineer, not a producer, but he made it even darker, I think. And then the photos and what we looked like then, that was actually, we never really went for a photo shoot. That was a magazine article, okay, for Metal Edge that was shot. And by the way, I just heard news that Jerry Miller passed away, the editor.
No.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't know, Mark? I'm sorry.
I didn't know.
Yeah. My friend just told me, someone posted on Facebook. Yeah. Apparently she had cancer, and I hadn't been in touch with her in a while, but she was one of the good people. You know that. Okay.
Yeah.
She loved rock and roll. And I know, once she wasn't doing that kind of stuff, she always stayed active. So we should celebrate her too. That magazine, how many things, most, like, I probably have so many clippings that you shot from her magazine. Absolutely. But, certainly Carnival of Souls was, we were just hanging out. So that was the look, going to the studio. I had a beard. I was going through personal changes, and I'm like, I'm going to be Paul McCartney when the Beatles broke up, and grow a beard, whatever. But the music was darker. The times were getting more detuned. People were dressing in flannels. Seattle was taking over. But I still always thought, no matter how much culture changed around Kiss, and even if we borrowed some elements, I still think the way we interpreted it was always so unique and so special. And it's still connected with the fans. So I'm proud of all that.
Então, o Regis comentou, até Regis, tu me corrige se eu... que nos anos 90, o Kiss acabou lançando os 2 álbuns favoritos do Regis, né?
Dois dos, né?
Dois dos, né? O Revenge e o Carnival of Souls, né? E daí foi perguntado se essa mudança, né, no visual, né, estava refletindo essa mudança também na música, porque o Kiss ficou um pouco menos colorido e mais dark, assim, mais pesado.
O que eu perguntei, na verdade, se esses 2 discos, de uma certa forma, foram uma resposta do Kiss àquela mudança toda.
Aquela mudança toda. E até o Bruce diz que o Kiss sempre ficavam pegando no pé do Kiss, que não é uma banda para se levar a sério e tal. E o Revenge foi meio uma resposta a isso, porque eles insistiram em vamos dar o melhor que a gente pode, fazer o melhor que conseguimos. E aí eles vieram com esse álbum maravilhoso, e até o Bruce brinca, né, que esse álbum ele é tão pesado, tão dark, mas aí tem uma das baladas mais famosas do Kiss, que é Forever, né, que é no Revenge, que acabou sendo trilha sonora de muitos casamentos, né. By the way, Bruce, it was the song for my...
Tá, ok.
É o que ele disse, né, que foi a trilha de muitos casamentos, essa Forever. E aí ele diz que eles acabaram aparecendo, então, para a sessão de fotos, né, com roupas mais cool, mas todo mundo queria usar uma roupa de couro, uma coisa assim, mas não mais aquele visual colorido, berrante, né, e realmente que a música era o melhor que eles podiam fazer na época. E aí depois o Carnival of Souls acabou sendo uma reação ao Revenge, mais dark ainda, mais pesado ainda, que tinha um pouco a ver também com o que estava acontecendo na época, que começou a surgir o grunge, né? E aí, então, o visual também já acabou mudando um pouquinho, e ele diz que, até ele brinca que ele apareceu depois, quando eles foram tirar as fotos, né? Ele já estava com um visual, assim, mais barbudo, que parecia o Paul McCartney na época que os Beatles estavam se separando, né? E aí ele diz que tem essa relação.
Não, só um adendo, Candice, que, na verdade, a Forever não é do Revenge. A Forever é do disco anterior, que é o Hot in the Shade. Então, o disco na
veio
verdade,
como uma resposta.
Foi também uma resposta a todo mundo que achava que o Kiss era uma
Tinha
banda de balada. Aquela coisa toda.
Did she get married to Forever?
No, my uncle did.
Oh, you're okay.
Right.
No.
We'll tell him, good choice. Good choice. Yeah.
When I I mean, I've shot every guitar player that was in Kiss, from, you know, Ace, of course, from '77 when I got arrested as a kid. And then when Vinny got in the band, I started shooting them. I did one of the first photo shoots with when Vinny was in the band. And then Mark St. John had a short stint. You know, I was at all the video shoots. I was hired by their manager at the time. And then I remember when Bruce came, I did, you know, in Crazy Nights, and I did the tour book photographs, and Gene and Paul had this vision of them with all these hot girls and playmates, and we threw Eric in the jail cell with a couple girls. I don't know who chose what, you know, but you know, Paul had the girl with the nurses, or the room with the nurses, and then Bruce had the motorcycle with the two hot chicks, you know.
And by the way, for the record, I've sat on a motorcycle, and I've never gone more than sitting on a motorcycle. I am petrified of them. And there I was posing like it was, and it was a famous, Joe Piscopo owned that.
Oh, did he? I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was his bike, apparently. Yeah.
So how
did the girls were nice, you know, but the bike wasn't me, you know. But that was the image that Gene and Paul, like when you said, "Oh, put Bruce on a motorcycle." Yeah, right.
Now, did Gene or Paul, did they give you choices like the jail cell?
I think it was like, "Hey, Bruce, why don't you do the motorcycle thing?" And I was like, "All right, what?" You know, I was pretty much very agreeable. I mean, as long as they didn't make a fool of me, but I was looking really cool. Was it honest? Truly, because there are a lot of rock and roll guitar players love bikes, but not me. You know, but it looked great. It looked good. You captured the moment. I was like a rock star, you know. I was just looking at the photos in your book of that, and I was laughing. So I know. But it's image, you know, it's rocking. It's an image you have to sell. And I'm not afraid now. I'm pretty comfortable in my skin to say, you know, what was, you know, the guitar meant everything to me, and doing the best job I could as the Kiss guitar player. But whether or not I rode a motorcycle or not and took a picture with one doesn't really matter. You know, it's the point of the music mattered to me the most.
I'll let Candice do that, and then I wanted to say something else.
Ok, thank you, Mark. Então, o Mark comentou que ele fotografou todos os guitarristas do Kiss, né? E que, como o Bruce, começou com Crazy Nights. E aí, quem tinha essa visão dessa sessão de fotos era o Paul e o Gene, né? Que eles diziam, tem que ter umas gostosas, né? Tem que ter essa coisa, assim, da moto, né? Então, eles começaram a escolher o que cada um ia interpretar, e aí sobrou para o Bruce essa foto com a moto. E até o Bruce confessa, né? Que ele sentou na moto, mas, na verdade, ele é aterrorizado, ele morre de medo de andar de moto, que não é uma coisa assim que faz a cabeça dele, que o lance dele é mais a música mesmo, mas que tinha essa concepção visual toda por parte do Paul e do Gene, e ele, como era uma pessoa muito de boas, ele topou, ele encarnou a visão que eles tinham, né, porque ele sempre se esforçava para fazer o melhor pela banda, né, o melhor que ele podia, mas que para ele, mais do que essa questão toda da imagem de rock and roll e tal, era a música mesmo, né, e que ele realmente não anda de moto, ele sabe que tem muitos guitarristas que gostam, muitos músicos que gostam, mas não é a praia dele.
So then fast forward a year or two, you know, he's in the band, he's playing arenas, he's definitely, you know, really well accepted by the audience. I mean, and not because of the old material, but because of the new material Bruce created with the band. Because the 80s, I mean, at that point, Kiss was accepted as a band without makeup, you know? So Vinnie Vincent probably had the hardest time with that segue, you know? Bruce was like, you know, the only real guy that started with Kiss without makeup. You know, Mark St. John was like, you know, it was very short-lived. So, you know, Bruce stepped up to the plate pretty good. And the guys, you know, played off him. Gene stuck his tongue down he looked like, you know, licked him just like he did, you know, like he likes to do. And at the videos, they let him shine and let him play his lead, and he was part of the band, you know. And then, you know, me shooting him on Hot for the Shade, doing that stuff, and with all those real colorful outfits. And then, you know, from that went Street. And I shot those too in the early 90s. You know, we just went, you know, not in the studio. We went on you know, we found some buildings and some some textured
Right.
walls and things, and we just put them in spots, and just like, you know, the message was, you know, Gene Paul's like, you know, we want to kill you, you know, and they wanted to, you know, look mean and tough and no smiles, pretty much. Where the year before they were pretty much smiley, like that picture in the book when they have all for one for all, you know, they're all, I mean, that's, you know, that's his, that it just went, and that was accepted too. And, you know, really they were still playing arenas where everyone else really got affected by it. So, you know, and then they put their makeup on a few years later, you know, it's like, they did it right. You know, they really did. They went through it the right way with integrity. And of course they had, you know, the non-believers and the journalists that didn't want to accept anything but the original four. But you know, it was you know, Kiss it's they're creators, you know, of music. Everyone has a different element, creates something different. Bruce added his thing. I know they're still friends, and, you know, and they still welcome him and appreciate his talent, because they wouldn't have got to where they got with the success they got again if it wasn't for Bruce, you know? So everyone has its own place.
O Mark está observando, né, toda a história, né, do Kiss como banda, né, e ele diz que ele presenciou todas as fases do Kiss, né, com maquiagem, sem maquiagem, a fase das roupas coloridas, depois a fase um pouco mais séria, depois quando eles retomaram a maquiagem, e o Mark observa que sempre tudo foi feito com muita integridade por parte da banda, porque, na verdade, eles são criadores, né, eles são muito criativos, eles são criadores, e até ele comenta, né, que eles também deixavam, por exemplo, o Gene, que é um pouco mais teatral, assim, aquela língua sempre de fora, mas que também eles permitiam, né, que os vídeos, que as fotos, né, também trabalhassem com o talento do Bruce, né, porque eles valorizavam muito o talento do Bruce, que segurou as pontas da banda aí naquela troca de guitarrista, e foi um período muito fértil do Kiss, que até hoje, né, apesar de não estarem mais tocando juntos, mas que eles são amigos, se respeitam, né, e que ele é um membro importante da história do Kiss.
Paulo?
Bob, at the beginning, I think when the band Kiss called you, I think they've been looking for Bob, your brother, and then he was in tour, right? And then they say, okay, come in, and then you stay for 12 years with the band. So and probably just because it was probably Doc idea that became again like the band again with the mask. But these 12 years, okay, for you, what was as a musician, as a rock star, how was your start since like probably a shy guy, and then you became the Kiss guy in Kiss, because Kiss is one of the biggest bands in the world?
You know, obviously when I had the opportunity, it was very unusual. I was hired originally because Mark St. John was ill, the new guitar player that Mark Weiss mentioned earlier, you know, and there I am touring in Europe first. And then we started to do America, and they tested Mark. So it was real interesting. I was already, in my mind, I was so successful, even if I was only in Kiss for 6 weeks, okay? But obviously, it really was working, okay? I was always, I was never a flamboyant performer. It was always about the guitar for me, though it looked right on me, and I made the right guitar faces, I know that. But I was never about, you know, I have to light my hair on fire or shoot rockets out of my guitar, okay? And that was actually helpful for me in Kiss. Gene and Paul are huge personalities, okay? And I really feel that I got a little bit picked on in the beginning. People said I was Spruce Bruce, Spruce being a tree, okay? And the truth is, I was petrified on stage to play some very fast, intricate guitar playing while those guys were running around the stage, okay? So I was just like, I'm planting myself right here, and I'm going to play the best I can, you know? And actually, I never really became a big, like a wild, and Mark would have, you know, agree. I was never a maniac, you know, drinking, wild, egotistical lead guitar player. It just wasn't my personality. The only thing that changed was me going, oh my God, I'm the guitarist in Kiss. And at the same time, my humble nature, which is who I am, was always just trying to do the best I could. So I was trying to be polite to the fans, supportive to the fans, help Gene and Paul with their vision. And I think that attitude really helped me be there for 12 years. And now, so many years later, because makeup didn't happen because they weren't happy with me. You know that. They got business offers because of Unplugged that was like, we're going to give you guys this much money to do makeup, okay? And Ace and Peter were ready, and they all worked it out. And the rest is they stayed in makeup because it just seems the most profitable thing for them, and they feel most comfortable that way. But my era is very unique, those 12 years, and I'm kind of like the flag waver, you know, the non-makeup Kiss. And I'm so proud of all of it. And the fans, so many fans started with my era. So I'm just connecting with all of them more and more now. And the more time has gone, I think the more value it is. Like what Mark was saying, how, you know, I continued the band along, you know, my role as the guitar player. And that meant just playing well and doing my job and performing and working with those guys the best I could. And I'm just super proud of all that. So I'm always part of history without the makeup.
O Paulo perguntou, né, que na verdade quando o Bruce entrou no Kiss, a banda era atrás do irmão do Bruce, Bob, né, que também é guitarrista, mas naquela época ele estava em turnê e ele não podia assumir, então o Bruce acabou assumindo a banda. A princípio era para ficar só 6 semanas, então ele já saiu em turnê, foi para a Europa com a banda, e ele pensava, nossa, por mim tá ótimo, né, se eu ficar 6 semanas no Kiss, já ganhei a vida, ganhei a minha carreira. Só que ele acabou continuando, e aí ele diz que ele é uma espécie de bandeira da época do Kiss sem maquiagem, né, que ele acabou ficando 12 anos com o Kiss, e que apesar, né, do Gene e do Paul ter toda aquela parte, assim, de se movimentar bastante do palco, né, eles têm uma presença de palco muito importante, eles brincavam com o Bruce que o apelido dele era Spruce Bruce. Spruce é uma árvore típica lá da América do Norte, né? Porque o Bruce ficava plantado no palco, ele não se mexia muito, mas na cabeça dele ele tinha que tocar bem guitarra e fazer o melhor que ele podia para alcançar a visão que o Gene e o Paul tinham para a banda, né? E ele diz que também ele tem uma natureza, é da natureza dele, assim, ser mais reservado, mais comedido, mais humilde, e que o que importava para ele na época era servir, né, como um instrumento para alcançar essa visão do Gene e do Paul para a banda, e também sempre dar aquele suporte com os fãs, estar próximo com os fãs e oferecer o melhor possível para os fãs, por os fãs. E aí ele comenta que na época do MTV Unplugged, que foi aí que deu uma virada de chave para o Kiss retomar a questão da maquiagem, porque ofereceram uma quantidade obscena de dinheiro, né, para eles voltarem com a formação original e a maquiagem, né. Mas ele diz que ele sempre, para ele sabe que ele faz uma parte importante da história do Kiss sem maquiagem, né, e que para ele, como guitarrista, foi uma grande honra, que ele tem muito orgulho do trabalho que foi realizado na época, e então que ele acha que ele é uma espécie de porta-bandeira da fase Kiss sem maquiagem.
Bruce, I understand you when you say that a lot of guys start to love Kiss since your time in band. I have a friend, like a brother, called André Galeazzo, who emphatically claims that Crazy Night is the best Kiss album of all time, which is insane for me. Insane, because Carnival Souls, Revenge, and Rock and Roll Over are 3 of my favorites albums, and Crazy Night, like the best album, is insane. And I got other friends who would love for the 80s to return with the same aesthetic conception of hair bands. What's your opinion about these people who, in a certain way, become prisoners of the distant past?
Well, look, we're all entitled to our opinion as well as your favorite Kiss album. And with a band as well known and as varied with that much history and the products throughout the eras, you know, I don't think there's any fault in, you know, I never get offended or egotistical depending on your choice of records, but I like that you like mine. Okay. And it happens, you know, that everyone is drawn to a certain thing. I know people who hate Crazy Nights because there's keyboards on it or whatever, or it doesn't sound heavy enough, and people who love Carnival Souls, people who hate Carnival Souls. It doesn't matter. It's as long as they're embracing something from the band, I'm happy. Now, I'm guilty of the same things. I still want to listen to Beatles, Led Zeppelin, Hendrix. I love singers like Frank Sinatra, and I have specific era things of his career that I'm drawn to more than others. Okay, he had great years at Capitol that I thought he was just a genius. Not that I didn't like his earliest stuff or his later stuff, but I know what it's like to be a fan of an artist. The Beatles too, for a while, it was like, I don't know if I could really listen to the first couple of records. And then I realized they're brilliant. I only want to hear this more Revolver or Magical Mystery Tour, Sgt. Pepper, something more, you know, recorded differently or emotionally different. But it's all great. And I just love people celebrating music, and it doesn't really matter which one. But I find no harm in us being connected to something from the past. And I find my favorite new bands kind of remind me of something from the past. Okay. Yeah. You know, so I said something funny to my wife, Lisa, a little while ago. You know, I don't know, you know, we were just throwing around the word, well, I got to go get my rock star jacket on or something like that. And so she says, you know, you feel like a rock star? I go like, you know what? Sometimes I really do, you know, but, you know, to me, I'm really just, you know, a very blessed guitar player, musician. The fans have really expressed so much admiration and this connection to my years in that band that I am just glowing in it. You know what I mean? And every day is something new that someone shares with me with Kiss. There's a new fan that gets to share his love of my era. And it's just so exciting for me to be a part of their lives and for me to discover that. So it's really been, you know, a tremendous, you know, realization for me. And especially in this very odd, tough year that we've all had to find your place, you know, see your family. And I love, of course, my wife and my family that way. But I have this whole extended family of Kiss fans around the world that had a lot of time sharing their affection to me, and it feels really good.
O Regis comentou, né, que assim como o Bruce tinha falado antes, que muitos fãs do Kiss, na verdade, conheceram o Kiss justamente na era da qual o Bruce participou, né? E aí o Regis disse que tem um amigo que, para ele, Crazy Nights é o melhor álbum do Kiss de todos os tempos. E aí o Regis comenta que, para ele, né, é o Revenge, Carnival Souls e Rock and Roll Over. E aí o Regis pergunta como é que o Bruce se sente com relação a esses fãs, que eles acabam ficando presos muito ao passado de uma banda, de um artista, e eles não conseguem ver outras fases, não conseguem se identificar com outros momentos. E aí o Bruce, ele explica que o Kiss realmente ele tem muitas histórias, muitas fases, mas que ele fica feliz que as pessoas celebrem a música da banda, seja lá na época que for, e que ele próprio tem essa mania como fã de música, né, que ele passa muito tempo escutando coisas mais antigas, tipo Led Zeppelin, Beatles, Frank Sinatra, que ele diz, né, e até ele diz que às vezes ele escuta álbuns dos primeiros anos dos Beatles, ele diz, meu Deus, mas isso aqui é maravilhoso, é incrível, né? Então, ele entende que isso é típico da relação de quem gosta de música, né, com as bandas. E até ele diz que essa questão de celebrar o passado, ele identifica, inclusive, nas bandas novas que ele anda escutando, que ele diz que muitas delas lembram esse som do passado. E aí ele brincou com a esposa dele, que outro dia ele pediu para ela, eu quero a minha jaqueta de rock and roll. Aí ela diz, agora tu se sente um rockstar, né? Essa altura do campeonato, então tu se sente um rockstar. E aí ele diz que, na verdade, toda essa pandemia, né, tanto ano passado quanto esse ano, que está sendo um momento bem importante, né, de ele ficar junto à família e tal, mas que ele sente um pouco de saudades da outra família dele, que é a fanbase, né, os fãs. Então, ele diz que também, de certa forma, ele consegue manter contato com os fãs, e ele diz que é sempre importante saber que teve gente que começou a gostar do Kiss na fase, na era que ele participou.
I love, just a moment, please. Bruce, I love the sounds of the past, like this.
Blackjack, wow.
Yeah. Para quem não sabe, essa aqui é a banda que o Bruce tinha com Michael Bolton. Aqui, ó. Deixa eu mostrar aqui para vocês. Ó.
Yep.
Yeah. Amazing. A great album. I love this album.
And Michael Bolton wrote with Paul Stanley Forever.
Yeah.
There you go. I know. Small world. Small world. I helped introduce them. And, I've connected with those people too. Sandy, Michael and I keep in touch. He's very successful with a million things. But Jimmy Haslip, the bass player, we all look at me with the mustache. Yeah, wow. Yep. It was really good band.
With a hair, with Don Brewer hair.
Yeah, Don Brewer hair. Yeah, my big. It was bigger then, for sure.
Yeah.
But that was an interesting experience too. But I certainly I love that everything you go through in your career kind of does connect, and the people you meet while that's all happening, you'll meet again. You know what I mean? And it's how I kind of wound up with Grand Funk too. After Blackjack, there was a couple of years where Michael went to write songs. Then Michael did some solo records, and then I toured with him and did a little recording with him then too. And we wound up being on the Bob Seger tour. And who's the drummer in Bob Seger? Don Brewer, who of course is Grand Funk Railroad. And then when they were putting the band back together, when Mark went solo, Mark Farner, I got the call because we knew each other. So just, like I said, it's all connected that way.
It's a full circle.
Yes, exactly. Oh yeah. And for Mark to be, I have to admit, when I heard from Mark about the book and everything, I was just like, wow, that's really going to bring everybody back together. All this great history of these bands. And, it's really a trip when I looked through his book, and I knew many of the bands he shot, and I hung out with them too. Not in any wild way, because that wasn't me, but it's still a real great time capsule of wonderful times. There's so many people that it means so much to. And I love the fact that, and that was the other thing that I was talking to Lisa about earlier, was there doesn't seem to be a lot of new rock stars like the people in Mark's book. If you look at those people, they still are powerful in so many people's lives, and they haven't been really replaced by anybody. And that gives me some confidence too, that why do I keep getting the more and more people reaching out about what I did in those 12 years with Kiss? And I really do feel it's also because somehow rock I don't know what happened to rock, but I'm just so happy I had those years, okay, because they were so important to so many people. And I think in many ways, just like bands like The Who and the Stones and Led Zeppelin and Hendrix and the Beatles, Kiss is one of those bands that's still valid and people enjoy, and they love, going down, listening to it. It connects them with something good, and that's a great thing.
Candice?
Sim. Aí eles estavam falando, o Regis mostrou um álbum, né, do Black Jack, que era a banda que ele que tinha com o Michael Bolton,
Isso.
né, e aí ele diz como as coisas são, né, que acaba sendo um círculo, né, tudo que vai, volta, todo mundo se reconecta, que depois foi o Bruce que acabou apresentando, né, o Michael para o Paul Stanley, e ambos escreveram juntos a balada Forever, né, e aí ele explica também. O Bruce diz que ele ama esses reencontros, né? Porque aí, às vezes, tu tá em turnê, daí tu acaba encontrando o ex-integrante de uma banda, e ele diz que foi o que aconteceu mais ou menos com a Grand Funk Railroad, que ele tinha junto depois com o Michael Bolton, né? E ele encontrou um ex-baterista, não foi isso,
não,
né?
na verdade, eles estavam fazendo uma turnê com o Bob Seger, e o
Seger,
batera do Bob Seger era o Don Brewer, que era do Grand Funk. E aí eles se reconectaram.
Se reconectaram, né? E aí ele diz que o Mark, né, a coisa mais incrível desse livro do Mark, é que ele abre o livro, ele começa a olhar as fotos e ler as histórias, ele diz como foi importante ter nesse livro uma cápsula do tempo, porque muitas das bandas, dos artistas que estão lá, eles são insubstituíveis, não apareceu ninguém até hoje para ocupar o lugar desse pessoal, né, que eles continuam tendo muito valor, muito significado, por uma grande base de fãs, né, no mundo todo. Então, ele diz, ninguém foi substituído ainda, essas pessoas que estão aí não foram substituídas, elas ainda são importantes e têm um significado, né, para os fãs. Então, ele diz que ele se sente importante, porque sendo ainda uma referência para muitos desses fãs, né, ainda tendo esse significado para essas pessoas, ele diz que assim como Led Zeppelin ainda está aí, né, com a importância dele, como grandes bandas dos anos 60, 70 estão aí, o Kiss também tem o lugar dele na história do rock e ainda é uma banda muito importante, né, nessa contextualização da história do rock.
Yes. Mark, I would like to ask you something. You start as a fan taking pictures of Kiss. You've been in jail about Kiss because you took that pictures of Kiss. You saw all the evolution on all the changes that Kiss had. So, but for you, what was your best moment taking pictures of Kiss? What for you was more inspiring moment where you saw from your point of view as a photographer, then you've been really doing the perfect shot for you?
Oh, well, actually, it was that shoot with all the girls, of course, it was a concept, Gene came in with this idea and I had this built set, like I did with many of my sets.
This one.
Yes, but Gene's turned the page and you see Gene had a smorgasbord of women and in costumes and, and there were playmates and they were just running all over the studio with, lingerie, and it was fun. And I used to shoot, I used to love shooting women, of course. I used to work for Men's Magazine, that a few years earlier. So, there's always that connection with me and rock stars and just get creative with it. Because I love shooting rock stars because they're cool looking and they're larger than life. And I love shooting beautiful women because they're beautiful. And Gene and Paul came up with these ideas and it was a lot of pressure because I had to get it right. I remember they wanted to do a couple other setups and I made a whole room that in that same day. It was a long shoot and Gene or Paul, they both walked in and they looked at it and I must have spent like 4 or 5 hours on it, getting props and things. And I don't even know what it was, but they looked at it and they go, nah, we're not going to be shooting there. And I'm like, can we just go in for 5 minutes? And they didn't want to do it, and they own the stuff, I'm not going to do anything with it, but it was just it. And we stuck to a few other ideas. But it was, I like a challenge. They were very challenging. And I must have done something right because then they kept hiring me, throughout the next decade. And even I just did, when their last tour, I did a tour book when they flew me into New Orleans. I shot a few shows and I went on their jet with them and did the whole thing. So it was kind of, you know, from a 17-year-old kid, you know, going to high school, sneaking in a Kiss concert, getting arrested, to flying with Paul and Gene and the other guys, on a private jet into New Orleans when they were the Mardi Gras, whatever they were, they were on the float. That was pretty cool,
O Paulo perguntou, né, como é que o Mark viu porque ele acompanhou de perto toda a evolução do Kiss, os diferentes estilos e tal. Daí o Paulo perguntou qual que foi o momento que ele considerou assim, mais inspirador, né, ao trabalhar com o Kiss. Ele disse que certamente foi inesquecível essa sessão de fotos que está no livro, né, com todas as garotas e todo aquele cenário, com aqueles objetos cenográficos todos. E até ele lembra, né, e até o Mark diz, né, que ele adora fotografar garotas, porque ele já trabalhou para revistas masculinas também, e ele acha que tem tudo a ver, fotografar lindas garotas ao lado dos rockstars. Só que daí diz que o Gene e o Paul, eles já vinham com as próprias ideias deles, e quando eles entraram nesse cenário que estava montado, eles meio que não gostaram, assim, e tinham passado 5 horas montando o cenário. Aí o Mark disse, me deem 5 minutos, vamos ver o que dá para fazer. E eles foram se soltando, foram compondo outras questões, outras cenas, e aí acabou ficando um trabalho muito bom. E aí ele diz, e aí eu fiquei aliviado, porque eu acho que eles devem ter gostado, porque depois eles me convidaram para acompanhá-los em turnê, né? E aí ele diz que vê como é a carreira de uma pessoa, né, daquele adolescente de 17 anos que ele era, né, que ele entrava assim meio escondido nos shows do Kiss para tirar as fotos, né, como um completo anônimo, a viajar de jatinho particular ao lado do Paul e do Gene, rumo a Nova Orleans, em pleno Mardi Gras, né, junto com a banda, naquele glamour todo, né, então ele diz, vejam como é a carreira de uma pessoa.
Paulo, sorry.
No, I was going to say, Kiss is also a very good conversation piece. If it wasn't for Kiss, I wouldn't have my grandson or my kids, because I had a meeting with Bill Aucoin, and he wasn't managing Kiss anymore. He was managing Billy Idol, and they wanted see my portfolio. So I went up to his office, Bill Aucoin's office, and had a good meeting. I got the job. I go in the elevator, and in my book, I have a section, it's called Love in an Elevator. As I got on the elevator, this beautiful woman was there, and she asked me, she goes, "What band are you in?" And this girl that I met, who ended up being my wife and the mother of my 2 children, said her name's Suzanne, and she used to work for Bill Aucoin in 1977, 1978. She was, same my age. She was a kid just out of going to New York University. And we started talking, and it's like, I said, no, I'm here doing a photo shoot. And we started talking about Kiss and how she used to work for him. And so when she was working for him, I was getting arrested. That's how, so we ended up having dinner that night. And within like a month, we were living together, and we spent, a few decades together, and we're not together now, but, we have 2 beautiful, we have a grandchild together, and
it's another full circle.
Yeah,
this is why.
E o Mark está contando que o Kiss, além de tudo, é um ótimo tópico para conversar, para puxar conversa com as gatinhas, né? Que ele diz que graças ao Kiss é que hoje ele tem netos e filhos, porque foi por causa do Kiss que ele conheceu a esposa dele. Até tem uma sessão do livro chamada Love in the Elevator, né? Que é Amor no Elevador, que também é uma música do Aerosmith, né? E aí ele diz que porque ele conheceu a esposa dele, né, num elevador, e aí eles tinham em comum essa questão que ela já tinha trabalhado, né, para um agente da banda, e ele disse, e ele disse, mas eu já fotografei eles, né, e tal, e aí por isso que eles acabaram casando, e ela é mãe dos 2 filhos dele, e ele tem netos também agora, então o Kiss, né, deu uma família para o Mark.
The Brazilian word for this is chaveco.
Chaveco.
Good chaveco.
Yeah, good chaveco. Paulo, você tem mais alguma coisa para perguntar, Paulo?
No, well, I just say thank you to all the guys, because it was very instructive, and thank you really for today. It was really nice to be part of this. It's like, for me, it's like flying on the past, like a machine of the past. So thank you very much for all of you.
Yeah, thank you. And that's what this book is to me. It's like, it's bringing us all together again, and even the fans. And like Bruce said, it's a time for us to connect with them. And I'm trying to look for, like, I have crowd photos in every chapter, and I'm having a contest. Like, if you can identify yourself, I'll give you a free print of that and something else. So, I'm just trying to get everyone connected, and just, and the 80s, like I said last couple weeks ago to you, is like, there was a special decade that it won't be duplicated because of MTV and because of the arenas and success of the music business at that time. It's Bruce and I are really fortunate to be part of it and to continue it on for generations to come, and to, hopefully in decades to come, there'll be another 80s, inspired by the 80s. So we'll see.
Fingers crossed. Yeah. But we're very fortunate, Mark. You're right. We went through a certain period of history along with culture, in a sense, right? With the fashion and the vibe. And it wasn't perfect by any means, but it certainly was a lot of people really felt good. I'm so moved by the outpour about Eddie Van Halen and the loss of Eddie, of course, and even with my own brother passing away tragically last year, the outpouring for that. Okay. And I bet in many ways, all of us want to know that we made an impact on everyone, and we are embracing it and enjoying it. And of course, the tragedies that happen, hopefully it's always sad. We all know that, but hopefully we then enjoy what was left, and what they represented to the fans, So I know I'm moving forward that for my brother, and I'm also really celebrating everything I've done and continuing, to kind of, one of the last thing I wanted to mention, I've been doing sets of 80s style music on the Kiss cruises with some really talented guys, Brent Fitz and Todd Kearns, who play with Slash, and Zach Throne. And we just go through that catalog of Kiss songs that they never really play. And it goes over huge. It's all over YouTube and everything. Love to have you shoot some of that stuff sometime, Mark. But I know the cruises get weird about the photographers, you know what I mean, who they have. But I love doing that, and the connection and what it means to them is amazing. So I want to thank this incredibly successful Brazilian radio show, the TV show, YouTube show, whatever we are now. Thanks for having me here. And Mark, thank you for hooking me up with them. I love Brazil. I have so many amazing Brazilian fans. And I always tell my wife, when I get really, really, really old, and I'm impossible to take care of, please get a fan from Brazil to come live with us to take care of me. Okay.
All right.
Nice.
O Paulo comenta, né, que a gente tem essa sensação do livro do Mark, que se trata de uma máquina do tempo, porque tu acaba vendo as fotos e tal, e tu volta para aquela época, né? E aí até o Mark brincou, que ele disse que, como ele gosta muito de tirar fotos do público, né, ele tem um desafio. Se alguém se achar numa daquelas fotos do público dos shows, ele diz que ele dá uma cópia grátis do livro para essa pessoa, né? E aí o Bruce complementa, né, que os anos 80 eles têm essa característica, né, que dificilmente vai ser uma era que vai ser duplicada. O Mark também fala a mesma coisa, e ambos acreditam que foi muita sorte deles de terem participado dessa época, né, porque não foi só a música, foi toda uma iconoclastia, toda uma moda, uma visão diferente de mundo, né, que o livro, de certa forma, recupera. E aí o Bruce, ele fala, né, que a perda recente do Ed Van Halen e também a perda trágica do irmão dele, Bob, ambos guitarristas, né, mostrou para ele como essa questão de causar um impacto nas pessoas, um impacto duradouro nas pessoas é importante diante dessas perdas, né, que de certa forma a gente continua, né, na lembrança dos fãs, que celebram a existência desses artistas, né? Então, ele acha que ele tem esse papel de dar uma continuidade a uma época. Ele até menciona que algumas vezes ele participa dos cruzeiros do Kiss, né? Que ele recupera algumas músicas do catálogo e tal, ele se diverte bastante com isso, estar próximo dos fãs. E ele agradece muito, então, né, ao Regis e ao Paulo por receber ele, né, no canal, que ele diz que tem um carinho especial pelo Brasil, e até ele brinca com a esposa dele, que quando ele estiver bem velhinho, que ele já não tiver condições de se cuidar, que ele quer que a esposa dele arrume um fã brasileiro para ser o cuidador de idoso dele, que com certeza ele vai se divertir bastante.
Thank you very much, Bruce. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Paulo. Candice. Muito obrigado. Muito obrigado pela. Thank you for your attention, your presence in our talk, and good luck and health.
Yes,
to you,
everybody stay healthy.
Family.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye now.
Take
care.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
E para completar esse papo espetacular, nós temos aqui mais um convidado de honra, um dos maiores bateras de todos os tempos, nosso querido e simpático Vinny Appice. Hello, Vinny.
Hello. How are you?
I'm fine, and you? It's a great pleasure to speak with you and together with Mark and Paulo and Candice. Welcome.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hey,
Thank you.
long time no see.
I know. Mark and I go way back, but
Yeah, 40 years, actually. 40.
probably. Yeah.
No, 40. Yeah. October 1980, Madison Square Garden, black and blue
Really?
tour. I did a photo shoot with you guys. My first one.
That's unbelievable. When you think back, 1980 doesn't sound like 40 years ago, but it is 41 years ago.
Well,
Yeah.
picture 1980, go back 40 years, 19 was it 1920? 1920.
Oh, 40 years. Yeah.
40 years from 1980. Oh no, is that 40?
No,
40.
1940.
1940. Okay. That's still pretty like, you know,
Oh, Mark.
War II.
the world has changed. The world has changed.
Yeah. It's funny.
Candice, você quer traduzir, por favor?
Claro. Então, as apresentações, né? E o Mark estava brincando com o Vini, porque ele disse, nossa, faz 40 anos já quando eu fotografei vocês no Madison Square Garden, né? E aí todo mundo discutindo essa questão, né? Nossa, de agora para 1980 são 40 anos, e se for pensar, o Mark disse na perspectiva, né? De 1980, 40 anos para trás, então seria 1920? Não, 1940, mas ainda assim é muito tempo atrás, né?
Vinny, you started in the 70s, a decade before that Los Angeles hard rock scene.
Yeah.
The first time that I listened to your work was on this record, one of the best live records of all time.
Wow.
With Ricky Derringer.
Right.
This amazing album.
Now, if you look at the picture on the back,
yeah,
I'm not in it.
Yeah, I see your drum kit, but not your face.
Because I told Rick we were leaving the band.
Oh, really?
The guitar player and I were going to form our own band. So we put the picture up with me hidden. Welcome to the music business.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, that's why there's no picture of me on there.
The guitar player was Danny Johnson.
Danny Johnson, yeah, we formed
Danny
a band
Johnson,
called
yeah.
Axis, yeah, after that,
And
yeah.
Kenny
Kenny Aronson.
Yeah, Kenny Aronson bass. Great
Yeah.
band.
Yeah, this is a great band.
Sorry, know about that.
That's okay.
Vinny, so you started in the 70s, a decade before that Los Angeles hard rock scene, full of bright colored clothes and ridiculous hair arrived.
Yeah.
As we are talking about Mark and his work, how did you see the value of the image, sometimes more important than sound, during the 80s?
Well, during the 80s, I was playing with musicians, Black Sabbath, with Tony and Geezer and Ronnie, then Dio with Ronnie. So we didn't like the hair bands. We were real musicians. We can play. So it was like, at that point, the record companies would sign a band. How do they sound? They're not very good, but they got good hair, and they get a record deal.
Yeah.
So it was a totally different thing. But we didn't like those bands. You know, the musician to watch somebody that's not very good is like hard to do. So,
and when you look back to the 80s and your work with Black Sabbath, is there anything you wish you could have done differently back then about the visual concept of the band? Tony Iommi, for example, says he had to order you to use a much larger drum kit than the one you used until then.
Yeah, because they called me up and said, hey, come out and meet Tony. Yeah, I'll come meet Tony. And I met Tony, we hit it off, got along very well. He said, come down to rehearsal the next day. So I just had my little drum set, you know, I didn't need anything bigger at that point in my career. And the drums were very small. And Tony was like, okay, you play good, I'm in the band, but the drums are too small. He asked me to play double bass. So I said, I don't do that. So I called up Ludwig Drums. I said, Nate, I need some aerial toms, these up here, more drums all in the front. And then in about 2 weeks, we had a big set. And that continued up until 2009 to the last Heaven and Hell tour, where I had 21 drums all up in the air. And
yeah,
it was giant kit. People used to come to see at sound check to see, wow, the big kit, and take a photo and stuff. Yeah, so that's what happened.
Candice, please. Então, o Regis estava, né, recepcionando, perguntando pro Vini. Não, eu vou lembrar. Ele perguntou para o Vini, ele mostrou um álbum que o Regis disse que é um dos álbuns ao vivo que ele mais adora, né? Que é o álbum do
Rick Derringer Live.
Né? E aí o Vini comentou, né, que ele disse, tu pode ver, Regis, que eu não tô na foto ali na contracapa. E aí ele contou uma história de bastidores que o Regis não conhecia, que nessa época o Vini tinha informado aos membros da banda que ele estava saindo para montar a própria banda dele e tal, e aí o Rick Derringer, né, de vingança, tapou o Vini da foto da contracapa, só aparece um pedacinho do kit de bateria. E aí o Regis também perguntou, então, pro Vini, ele sendo um músico dos anos 70, que começou a carreira dele nos anos 70, como ele viu essa transição para os anos 80, onde o visual e as roupas coloridas e o cabelão tinham muito valor, né? E aí o Vini confessa que ele e os caras do Black Sabbath não gostavam de jeito nenhum dessa coisa do glam rock, do cabelão e desse visual todo, porque eles eram músicos de verdade, eles não dependiam da aparência deles, né, para fazer a música e ter sucesso. Mas o Vini percebia que as gravadoras estavam valorizando muito isso, que às vezes a banda nem era tão boa assim, mas como tinha o visual certo, o cabelo certo, as roupas certas, eles acabavam conseguindo um contrato com as gravadoras. Mas bandas como Black Sabbath e os músicos bons continuaram na deles. Mas aí o Regis questionou algo interessante, ele disse, mas a verdade é que o Tommy Iommi pediu para tu dar uma mudança no visual da tua bateria, e aí o Vini explica que quando ele foi fazer o teste, ele tinha um kit pequeno, que era o que ele tocava na época, né? E o Tommy ficou escutando e disse, não, tu é bom, mas vamos precisar dar uma melhorada nessa tua bateria aí, que ele queria que o Vini tocasse com 2 bumbos, né? Então, em questão de 2 semanas, ele já tinha colocado mais peças, caixas, tons, né, pratos no kit dele, e chegou... Né, coisas suspensas, e chegou no final que ele já estava com 21 peças, né, 21 tambores, caixas, tons, na bateria dele, né.
Paulo.
Wow! Oh, wow.
Wow. Wow. Bravo.
Wow.
Vinny, your brother was very impressed when we interviewed him last week. He couldn't, after every time, he's like, all right, you know.
Oh, let me tell you something. Wow, I didn't know I talked that long. That's amazing. Good job, Candice.
Thank you, thank you.
Vinny, it's true that when you came the first time to play in Hawaii with Black Sabbath, you have to learn in that night the whole music of the show.
Yeah.
Wow.
I came down. I met Tony at night at the hotel, and then he said, "Come down." And they had 4 days to rehearse, and we rehearsed a little bit the first day. Then they went to the pub to have drinks. I'm like, okay, I got to learn all 15 songs. And so I stayed back at the studio with the keyboard player, Jeff Nichols, and we went over the stuff. And then the second day we rehearsed some more, and then they went to the pub to have a drink again. And I'm like, oh God, you got to play. Then this third day we started having to really lock it, rehearse. And then by the fourth day, Tony was getting really nervous. Tony Iommi was like, uh-oh. Because Tony and Geezer never played with another drummer before. They only played with Bill Ward. So they were really nervous. And so I had to write charts and like a book like this, you know, just a book, and write everything down. And man, it wasn't a lot of time to learn all those songs, but we did it. I had the book, right? I had the book, and you know, there's stuff in here already, like music there, right? Boom. And the book's there, and it starts raining on the book. So the smeared, you couldn't see it anymore. No, can't see it. It's all wet. And so we had to just play and look at each other like, okay, the endings now. It was quite nerve-wracking. But Tony and Geezer were very, very nervous to play with another drummer.
Especially when it started raining.
Especially when it started. I mean, the wind was blowing it. Yeah, it was raining and the wind blows it. It's going on the book. Jesus. So, crazy.
Oh, amazing. Candice?
Então, o Paulo lembrou, né, de uma história de quando o Vinny começou no Black Sabbath, que eles estavam no Havaí, e que ele tinha, tipo, uma noite, 2, para aprender a tocar todas as músicas, né, e começar a tocar com a banda, acompanhar a banda. E aí ele encontrou o Tom Iommi no hotel, e eles começaram a conversar. Aí no primeiro dia, né, eles tocaram um pouco, depois foram para o pub, mas aí o Vinny pensou, não, eu preciso ensaiar mais, eu preciso praticar mais para aprender as músicas. Segundo dia, todo mundo foi para o pub, ele ficou com o tecladista, Jeff Nichols, praticando, né. Terceiro dia, ele acha que já estava tudo acertadinho, mas mesmo assim, o Tommy estava muito nervoso, porque foi o primeiro baterista, além do Bill Ward, com quem o Tommy Iommi ia tocar pela primeira vez na vida, com outro baterista que não fosse o Bill Ward, mas no fim deu tudo certo. Só que o Vinny até mostrou ali para nós, ele tinha esse livro, né, onde ele anotava a partitura, anotava tudo, né, para poder acompanhar a banda e lembrar. Só que daí no dia do show começou a chover e ventava muito. E todas as anotações do Vinny começaram a ficar borradas e tal, então eles tinham que olhar um para o outro, assim, para ir se acompanhando, para poder dar sequência no show. E o Tom Iommi muito nervoso, né, para tudo dar certo, mas no fim deu tudo certo, apesar do vento, da chuva, das partituras borradas, mas deu tudo certo.
Mark, were there times when you didn't connect with the band? How did that hinder and still hinder your work?
Well, really, I usually get along with everyone, to be honest with you. They're usually very welcoming. I remember when I first photographed Black Sabbath for the first time, I was shooting at the, like I said, at the Garden I was shooting Eric Bloom with his motorcycle, and Black Sabbath was there, and I talked to the tour manager and I introduced myself, and they set up a quick impromptu photo shoot, which was my first shoot with Black Sabbath, and Vinny was there. And after the shoot, everyone was so nice, you know, it was one of my first shoots, you know, and everyone was so nice. And I remember Ronnie at the end, like sticking around and goes, you sure you get everything? You know, if you want, we can do some more shots. He saw I was a young kid. I was like 20 years old. And he went out of his way. And that's when I knew, you know, I thought everyone was as nice as Ronnie, which I found out later on, that's not the case.
No.
But, you know, I mean, Ronnie was an extraordinary, just, you know, loved people and cared about people and everything. But yeah, so that was my best case scenario. And my worst case scenario was with Glenn Danzig.
Yeah.
Yeah, when he came to my photo studio, I was doing the album, his debut album, the packaging. The record company hired me. I never met them before, and I just, you know, brought them into the studio, and they weren't really giving me anything. And I went up to them and I started handling them, like I do. I don't know if Vinny remembers. I'm sure he does. You know, Tony doesn't like to be too much handled, but he let me touch him a little sometimes when I had to, and I just like to mold them. And to make him look good. And when I went to Glenn, he said, don't touch me, you know, and I just finished taking the pictures. I said, okay, we got it. And they loved the photos, but it's the last time they even told the record company, like, we don't ever want to shoot with him again. But they loved the photos, and, you know, and I was banned from Danzig concerts from then on out for whatever reason, even though I got the shot, you know. But Vinny was always good. He was, you know, he's not, like he said, he's not a poser, you know, he never wanted to be, he doesn't try, but he'll take direction, which is what us photographers like. And, you know, he respects our craft or my craft or what I was doing. And, you know, and it was great, you know, working with him up to the last shoot I did with Ronnie when they did the Heaven and Hell band. They hired me to do the publicity and promotion. And, I remember that day, and everyone was there, all the managers and wives and girlfriends, or whoever, they were all there, and everyone was talking, and they were all talking. And I just, like, I didn't want to direct it to anyone because they're all friends and they're all, you know, managers and people that should be there. But I said, and Tony was looking at me like, you know, like I could tell it was, you know, no one else, but, you know, Ronnie's good and everyone else is good. But, you know, I just said, I looked in the air. I said, "Can everyone just leave? I can't focus." And they did. They left. And I didn't make any enemies out of it either. They all said, and I remember Tony saying, "Thanks, Mark. I needed that." You know, they don't, because Tony doesn't like. You know, Ronnie can go either way, and Vinny, you know, doesn't seem to care. I mean, I'm sure Vinny would rather not have a whole audience, and some people don't. Some people. Poison, they'll put on a show for everybody, you know, but, you know, that's why I get along and they respect what I do, because I feel for them, and I can feel when I have to speak up, I'll speak up.
Então,
Candice?
Thank you, Vinny. Good direction. O Regis perguntou para o Mark se teve alguma vez, porque ele disse que geralmente o Mark se dá bem com todo mundo, mas se houve alguma vez que não houve essa conexão com os músicos, ou que foi difícil, né? Então, ele diz que geralmente ele se dava bem com todo mundo, então até ele usou o exemplo do Black Sabbath, que quando ele tinha 21 anos, né, que foi a primeira vez que ele fotografou, até ele chegou um pouco, assim, né, receoso e tal, mas que até mesmo o Dio foi super legal com ele, né, e recebeu ele muito bem, disse, não, claro, tu pode tirar nossa foto, até depois da sessão de fotos, o Dio disse, não, tu quer tirar mais algumas? Ele foi super legal, e até eles brincaram, né, nossa, isso é raro de acontecer, né, então ele disse que teve uma ótima experiência com o Black Sabbath, mas ele lembrou de uma vez, que foi com o Danzig, né, que o Glenn disse, não me encosta, né, porque o Mark gosta de chegar perto, dizer, faz uma pose assim, faz assim, e o Glenn disse, não me encosta, né, eles foram até meio secos, meio frios, mas depois eles gostaram do resultado, né, não houve nada muito grave, e aí ele também disse que depois o Rony acabou contratando ele para fazer a publicidade da outra banda, a
Heaven and Hell.
Heaven and Hell.
Heaven and Hell.
E ele fez todas
Heaven and
as
Hell.
fotos de publicidade e teve um momento naquele trabalho que aí no set tinha as esposas, os empresários, todo aquele entourage, né? E aí o Mark estava se incomodando, porque o pessoal estava fazendo barulho, e o Tony também não estava gostando daquela situação toda. E aí o Mark disse, tomara que ele saia, e aí o pessoal acabou saindo, né? E o Tony foi lá e disse, obrigada, né? Que tu conseguiu criar um ambiente mais tranquilo para a gente terminar o trabalho da sessão de fotos.
Vinny, in your Heaven and Hell times, the vibe with the guys was not so good as the people think. Is it true?
Which Heaven and Hell? The old 1980?
No, the band Heaven and Hell.
No, it was great. The vibe was good. It was good. We were hoping to do another tour and another album, and then that's when Ronnie became ill. So it was good. We were all playing great, and Ronnie was singing great, even though he had a problem, stomach cancer. He was still able to sing amazing. It was amazing, But everything was good at that point, for once. It's like 3 times we did it. Did it in 1980, 92, and then that one, 3 different times. And all he lasted 2 years, 2.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't go further.
Actually, I was talking with Vinny about that. The only funny thing is because I was a promoter of one of these tours. It was funny because on the plane, it was like the wife of Tony talking with the wife of with Wendy Dio, and then the other wife. Then Wendy said to Ronnie, what happens, and then the other one say to the other wife, and then it was like only the same room talking the same thing just to have a final decision. I remember Vinny and me just watching that and laughing.
That's because there's Tony has a manager, Giza's manager is his wife, Ronnie's manager is his wife, and so it goes from there's a comment, but not to Ronnie, but it goes all the way around to all the managers and wives. And then Wendy tells Ronnie and goes, this is, and Ronnie gets upset because we're all in the same room together. You just say, hey, I don't like that part. Okay, let's change it, Yeah. But it was crazy. That's three managers.
Yeah. Three managers in the same band is just ridiculous.
Four band members and 3 managers. Yeah. I should have got a manager too. It could have been 4 managers. What the hell?
Então, vamos lá. E o Regis questionou o Vinny sobre esses rumores todos que talvez, né, a vibe lá na Heaven and Hell não fosse muito boa. E aí o Vinny disse que não, que são rumores, porque ele, nessa época, esses 2 anos e meio que ele ficou com o Dio nessa banda, e fizeram uma turnê, fizeram um álbum, estava tudo bem, né? Mesmo o Dio já meio doente, ele ainda conseguia cantar bem, mas infelizmente eles tiveram que interromper os planos de fazer mais um disco e mais uma turnê, porque daí o câncer do Dio piorou, né? Mas aí o Paulo recuperou uma conversa que a gente estava tendo nos bastidores, né? Sobre o fato que no Black Sabbath o Dio e o Tony não conversavam. Eles podiam estar no mesmo espaço, no mesmo avião, na mesma sala, e um não conversava com o outro. Então, o que eles faziam? A esposa o Dio falava alguma coisa para a esposa dele, que também era empresária dele, e aí ela conversava com a esposa do Tommy, e passava, então, a esposa do Tommy passava as informações para o Iommi, né? Porque daquela banda tinha 4 integrantes e 3 empresários, né? Então a coisa o clima não era nada bom, né? E aí o Vinny brinca que ele diz, pois é, eu devia ter achado um empresário naquela época para me representar também, né?
Paulo, por favor.
Yeah, tell me something, Vinny. I think when you were 16 years old, you've been playing also with John Lennon or your band.
Yes.
Something like that, yeah. So your band was used by John Lennon, right, to record his albums, right?
Well, what happened was the band I was playing with, it was a big band. They had 4 horn players. It's like rock, funky kind of stuff. And Jimmy Iovine, who produced John Lennon and Beats Audio and Interscope Records, he was our friend. So he took us into the record plant, produced a couple of songs, and the record plant signed us to a management deal. So we rehearsed at the record plant every night. We had a big room, and we'd rehearse and do some recording. And then one night, Jimmy said, called up, he said, "Can you guys come downstairs and do hand claps? We need some hand claps." They didn't have computers, you know, back then, so it was real hand claps. So we go down, and we go in the studio, and there's John Lennon. Oh, shit. Oh, my God. We put the headphones on. Now he starts talking to us, telling us what he wants to do. And then, like, this is, like, unbelievable. You know, you hear him right in your head. So we did hand claps on the song, Whatever Gets You Through the Night.
Right.
So we did that. And then we said hello and blah, blah, blah. Then we went back to the room. And there were nine of us. And he must have found out we rehearsed there all the time. He liked us. So a couple days later, he came to rehearsal. He sat there on the steps, watched us play. And we're like, oh, my God, John Lennon. So he kept hanging out. Then we started playing pool. You know, we played pool. There's a pool room there. We started hanging out with us and stuff. And it was really cool. And then we did 3 videos. He asked us to do 3 videos with him. And then the last thing we did with him was a live TV show at the New York Hilton in 1975. And it was on TV all around the world. And it was us and John Lennon. And played Imagine, Slippin' and Slidin', and Stand By Me. And then I just found out about 4 years ago that was his last live appearance. And it freaked me out. I went, I played his last, me? The kid from Brooklyn, 16 years old? I was freaked out. I didn't know that. I just thought we did the gig with him. And that was it. So it was unbelievable. You know?
Dreams come true, my friend.
What's that?
Dreams come true.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I'll show you a picture while Candice does her thing. Okay.
Yeah, you know the name of the band was Bands of Motherfuckers. Really? Yeah. We have to ask him. What's the name of the band?
E o Paulo trouxe, então, uma informação muito interessante, que o Vinny, quando tinha 16 anos, ele tocou com John Lennon, e aí ele pede para contar essa história, como é que foi, né? E aí o Vinny explica que, naquela época, ele estava num estúdio tocando com uma big band, que tinha sessão de metais, tudo, né? E eles eram amigos de um produtor do John Lennon, que é o Jim Iovine, né? E era amigo, e eles estavam no...
Jimmy Irvine.
Irvine, né? E eles estavam no mesmo prédio. Daí aconteceu um dia que o John Lennon estava gravando num estúdio ali no mesmo prédio, e ele precisava de alguém para bater palmas na música, né? E naquela época não tinha computador, não tinha nada, né? E aí a gurizada da Big Band, o Vinny, junto, desceram lá no estúdio onde o John Lennon estava. Eles entraram assim, até viram, o John Lennon estava com os fones, ele tirou os fones, começou a conversar com eles, né? Aí eles fizeram o trabalho lá de bater palmas, né? E ficaram ali curtindo com o John Lennon. E aí, depois que eles se conheceram, um dia eles estavam lá no estúdio deles tocando, lá na sala grande tocando, John Lennon subiu, sentou num degrau lá e ficou assistindo o ensaio da banda do Vinny, né? E ele acabou convidando o Vinny e outros músicos para participar, junto com o John, de uma apresentação ao vivo na TV em 1975. E ele tocou 3 músicas, entre elas Imagine, Stand By Me, e o Vinny tocou junto com ele nessa apresentação. E só há 4 anos atrás, que o Vinny ficou sabendo que essa apresentação na televisão foi exatamente a última apresentação ao vivo do John Lennon. Então, ele participou, né, da última apresentação ao vivo do John Lennon. É um fato super curioso.
Eu só vou fazer um adendo, que essa canção que o Vini cita é Whatever Gets You Tonight.
Here's a picture.
Wow.
There's
Tony
me.
Levin?
Can you see it?
Sim.
Wow.
Wow.
No hair.
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
That was
A bunch of bald guys. A bunch of bald guys. The bald guys band.
Olha.
That was the band of motherfuckers, isn't it?
No, it says
That's right. That's right. That's right. BOMF. But John wanted to freak everybody out, and he made masks of our face and put it on the back. So we 2 faces and no hair. Black jumpsuit, and John had red jumpsuits. They did different jumpsuits. Wait.
Very.
There's video on YouTube.
Yeah, there's video on YouTube of that.
And Tony Levin on bass.
Who?
Tony Levin on bass. He's not? He's not Tony Levin.
You know who this guy is? This is Angelo on bass. My friend from Brooklyn. We grew up together. Wait.
Yeah. I saw.
He recorded all the Dio records. He's the engineer. Wound up doing all the Dio records.
Because I see the picture, and I see a bald guy with a mustache, and I think
that's a guitar
Tony
player.
Levin.
No, that's a guitar player. This guy, Mark, with the mustache, he went on to play with Billy Joel all the time. Mark. He lived near me in Brooklyn, New York.
Legal.
Yeah.
O Vini trouxe, então, a foto daquele grupo que estava acompanhando o John Lennon, e até ele observou que o John Lennon teve uma ideia, assim, de visual, né, que eles estariam todos, né, carecas e com uma máscara, né, atrás na nuca para confundir as pessoas. E aí o Regis questiona, né, quem eram os músicos, e até ele cita o músico Mark, que acabou tocando junto com o Billy Joel um tempão, né. Então, ele só explica mais ou menos a configuração da formação da banda, que o nome era Band of Motherfuckers. No translation needed, né? Não precisa traduzir.
Mark, was improvisation always part of your work, or was there a certain amount of control over what could happen in a photo shoot?
Yeah. Some photographers are in that environment. Some do live, and some do backstage. I do everything. I always wanted to do everything. I didn't want anything to fall through the cracks. In the beginning, I was just live. Then I went backstage. One of the first shows backstage was Van Halen in '79 at Asbury Park. And that was exciting to meet Eddie and Michael. And then when I started working for Circus, I started getting more access, and Black Sabbath was another one of my first, and Eric Bloom, and it just, and I do like the control. Like with Eric Bloom, he had his motorcycle at the Garden, and I brought my lights, and I wanted smoke and all that. And then as I did my album covers, like, Stay Hungry and, Slippery When Wet, and, I'm the Man, and Last Command by Wasp, all these were like built sets, and there were, I always liked the Kiss shoots when each guy had its own background. So I was very influenced by that kind of thing. So I loved it all. It's the easiest thing is just for me to pack up my bag and go on the road with the band and go in their bunk and, and just hang out. That's the most fun,
O Regis perguntou para o Mark se o improviso sempre foi parte do trabalho dele, ou se havia algum tipo de planejamento, de controle, né, para as sessões de fotos. Aí o Mark diz que ele gosta, por exemplo, principalmente de estar no backstage depois do show, né, e pegar as cenas como elas estão acontecendo, mas ao mesmo tempo ele tem, né, uma noção da luz, da que ele quer, se ele quer um pouco de fumaça, se ele quer... Ele tem, assim, uma visão, ele gosta de ter o controle sobre a visão que ele tem sobre o resultado que ele quer atingir. E ele diz que quando ele começou a trabalhar para a Circus Magazine, aí ele começou a ter mais acesso, né, as bandas, ficou mais fácil, e ele disse que para ele a coisa mais fácil que tem é pegar a mochila dele e ir para a estrada com a banda, dormir nos beliches dentro do ônibus, né, e poder trabalhar. E ele disse que quando ele tem a concepção, por exemplo, da capa de um álbum, aí ele citou o Stay Hungry, né, do Twisted Sister, Slippery When Wet, do Bon Jovi, que aí sim, ele gosta de ter um planejamento, né, para sair exatamente como ele imagina. Mas ele disse que também teve uma influência do Kiss, que o Kiss fotografava, por exemplo, cada membro separado, então ele também pegou uma influência, né, e isso que daí seria a parte do improviso, quando essas influências surgem.
Paulo. Wow, yeah.
Wow.
He's good.
Mark,
If that was my job, I'd have 2 words. I'd go, and he said, what?
And he said whatever.
But
Yeah,
Vinny,
you know.
Vinny, sometimes I make mistakes, of course. The other day, Regis corrected me. Thank you, Regis. But yeah,
Oh, really?
I try to do my best.
Well, actually, you could say anything. We can't understand you. Mark and I.
But Paulo and Regis, they
Vinny,
do understand me.
You go, Vinny's a real jerk, and Mark, I don't know about that guy either.
No.
They're both wearing hats and stuff.
Vinny, you can trust her.
What's
Stay
that?
tuned. You can trust her.
Oh, no, she's got the trusting face.
No, Paulo, Regis, Mark, this is because I'm Italian as he is. Yes, Italian girls, you know.
Italian?
I think, Appice. Appice. Yeah. Are you Italo-American? Yeah. I'm a Italo-Brazilian. My grandparents were Italian.
Vinny.
Yeah, my grandparents are from Italy.
Yeah. Vinny.
My parents are from Brooklyn. Yeah.
The real pronunciation, the real pronunciation of your name is Appice or Appice or Appice?
Appice.
But Carmine says Appice.
Appice, yeah.
Because he used to say Appice. Then when he played with Rod Stewart, Rod was confused and he said, "What do I call you? I'm getting confused. Everybody's got a different version." But so Carmine said, most people call me Appice. So he changed it officially to Appice. So he's Appice, I'm Appice. And then I have another brother, he actually lives down the street. He's Appice.
Appice, yeah.
Like Italian. Appice.
Yeah.
There's 3
Mamma mia.
So,
Mamma mia. What a
Where's the pasta?
Yes. Oh, Vinny, so accept my apologize because I present you like apes here in Brazil.
Appice.
Yeah.
But you say Black Sabbath. Not Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
Right?
Sabbath,
say Black Sabbath. Yeah. So that's just the way you say it. Yeah. But it's really Black Sabbath.
Não. A gente só está aqui discutindo uma questão sobre sobrenomes, né? Porque eles estavam conversando, elogiando o meu trabalho e tal. E eu disse, é que o italiano se entende, né? E aí o Regis acabou perguntando para o Vinny, afinal de contas, como é que se pronuncia o sobrenome dele. Então, disse que o Carmine, por causa do Rod Stewart, quando ele tocava com o Rod Stewart chegou para ele e disse, tá, mas afinal de contas, como é que se pronuncia, como é que eu te chamo, como é que é o teu nome? E aí, naquela época, o Carmine adotou o Appice, né? Carmine Appice. Mas o Vinny, ele adota o Appice, né? E ele comenta que um outro irmão dele, daí já prefere a pronúncia italiana mesmo, né? Que é Appice. Appice.
Appice. Oh, Mark, I think the first time that you took a picture of Vinny Appice was with the ringer, right?
Rick Derringer. You know, I didn't know he was
Derringer.
Did you play New York in 1977? I don't know if it was the Palladium or the Garden with Johnny Winter. Do you play one of those shows?
I left already. No.
Okay, so no, he wasn't.
We played the Garden with Aerosmith.
Okay.
I think that was 76. The Rocks tour. We did a lot of it.
You opened up.
Yes.
because I was at that show. Maybe that's where I shot it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Madison Square.
I
That's
was
the first time I played there, and it's like, wow, Madison Square
okay.
Garden.
Yeah. I think I must have ID'd my photo because I thought it was 1977, but I did shoot Aerosmith in 1976, and I don't remember shooting.
Yeah, that was probably us on that tour. Yeah.
Right. But and I'll have to look at the contact to see if you're in the background. I'll check it out.
Yeah.
If I have it, I'll send it.
You know, it's funny. I had a laminate from 1976, and it says it's an Aerosmith laminate. It's real primitive back then. It's got my name on it, and I guess I lost it. And a couple of years ago at a gig, somebody comes up to me and says, "I have something special for you," and I'm like, "Okay, what? What could be special?" And he gives me this laminate. It's 40. How many years?
Wow.
Hey, Mark, how many years ago is that?
40.
Anyway, it's from
44.
It's from 1922.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's 1976 Aerosmith laminate with me on it. I lost it, and 40 years or whatever later, 45 years,
80 years.
Wow.
He gives it to me. I go, oh my God, I can't believe you found this. And it went on the internet, it was sold, and and this guy gives it to me back after 45 years.
Uau.
Olha só.
It's pretty cool.
Eu perdi o começo porque deu uma travada aqui, né? Mas eu peguei toda a parte da credencial que ele tinha perdido, uma credencial da época que eles excursionavam junto com o Aerosmith, né? E essa credencial foi perdida. E aí, 45 anos depois, né? Que foi um show, uma época que eles estavam tocando em 1976, que até ele disse que foi uma das primeiras vezes que ele tocou no Madison Square Garden, acho que foi a primeira, aquele lugar enorme, né? E aí alguém achou a credencial dele e acabou devolvendo para ele 40 anos depois. Regis, até se tu quer comentar o começo, porque realmente travou.
Não,
aqui.
tudo bem, querida. Tá tudo ótimo. Fica relax. É só dando um toque que o Vinny, na verdade, ele estava tocando, se não me engano, com o Edgar Winter. Abrindo shows do Aerosmith.
Vinny, I was born in 1975, so I know it's 45 years.
Oh, really? I was only 3. I was on the Aerosmith tour. I was only 3 years old.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's it. 46 years.
No, Vinny, when you left Black Sabbath with Ronnie, how was the beginning of everything with Ronnie? How was how you decide? You decide before you left Black Sabbath to do the Dio's band, or what happens?
Well, Ronnie had a record deal the whole time he was in Black Sabbath. So he was going to do a solo record with all his musician friends, you know, everybody can play on it and all that, and stay in Black Sabbath. But since that didn't work out, the band, they had some problems between them. Then Ronnie finally said, we went to the famous Hollywood Rainbow Bar and Grill, and we're sitting there, and Ronnie says, look, I'm going to leave the band. I'm going to form my own band, and I'd like you to join me. You want to do it? And I said, yeah, let's do it. You know, it sounded very exciting. He lived close to me, and so that was my decision. They also wanted me to stay with Black Sabbath. So I just thought this was a more interesting, exciting thing, something with Ronnie, the greatest singer in rock, and a new band, and it's here. Otherwise, I'd be going back and forth to England playing with Tony and Kaiser. I love everybody, you know. It was a hard decision to make, but so that's how we started it. And then it was just Ronnie and I in the rehearsal studios. He played bass, and we jammed. We had Holy Diver, a couple of riffs, and we worked that out a little bit. Then we started auditioning guitar players. One of them was Jake E. Lee. He came down and played with us, but he didn't get chosen. And then we went, Ronnie wanted a European band influence. So we went to Europe, went to England, and that's where we hooked up with Jimmy Bain, and he knew Vivian Campbell.
Wow.
I'll let Candice
Amazing.
catch up.
Yeah.
Thank you. Então, eles perguntaram, né, como é que foi o começo ali com o Black Sabbath e com o Ronnie, e principalmente na hora de sair, como é que foi a decisão, né, de acompanhar o Dio nessa nova banda. Então, ele conta, né, que, na verdade, o Dio já tinha, mesmo estando no Black Sabbath, ele já tinha um contrato para um trabalho solo, né, então, um dia ele chamou o Vinny lá para o famoso, lendário Rainbow Bar, lá em Los Angeles, né, ele disse, ó, vem cá, eu tô saindo da banda, tu vem comigo? E aí o Vinny disse que foi uma decisão bem difícil, porque o que acontece? Os caras do Black Sabbath queriam que o Vinny continuasse na banda, mas o Dio estava convidando para uma coisa nova, e ele era o maior cantor de rock da época, e aí o Vinny ficou tentado a seguir nesse projeto novo e acabou, então, seguindo o Dio. Ele conta que no começo chegou um ponto que então só estava o Dio no baixo e no vocal e o Vinny na bateria, e eles conseguiram compor a Holy Diver. E aí eles começaram a fazer testes com guitarristas, mas como o Dio ele tinha essa influência, né, do que estava acontecendo na Europa, do metal europeu, eles falaram, não, vamos procurar um guitarrista europeu. E aí eles acabaram encontrando um guitarrista na Inglaterra, que era o...
Vivian Campbell.
Aí é
Não,
correto.
e tem um detalhe muito interessante do que o Vini contou, cara, que isso é uma coisa que pouca gente sabe. O Jake Lee, que todo mundo conhece como guitarrista do Ozzy, ele chegou a fazer teste para a banda do Dio, mas ele não foi um dos caras escolhidos. História bem interessante. Vini,
Yep.
how do you look back on your visual concept in the 80s as a drummer in your band with stages full of dragons, swords, walls, castles? Did you feel comfortable with that aesthetic concept, or did it out of obligation?
Oh, no. It was so much fun. It was so much fun, and all the big stage and the explosions and dragons and all lasers, and it was a hell of a lot of fun. It was great. The only problem with that, like pyro, you use pyro, you go boom. Then there's some places where you can't use pyro, fire hazard. So you play the next night and there's no boom, and you go, oh man, it's like a letdown. You rely on that stuff, which is the bad thing. But it was a hell of a lot of fun. But a lot of times things didn't work; they broke. We had a pyramid stage, and the drums were under the pyramid, and then we started stand up and shout, and the pyramid would open up, and there's smoke and the drums I'm playing. Well, one time it didn't go up. So I'm playing and it's all smoky. It didn't go up till the end. We're all laughing. Oh, I can't breathe. It's all that. So things break. They break a lot, especially back then.
Yeah.
Então, o Regis está perguntando para o Vini se ele se sentia confortável com toda aquela estética, né, do palco, com castelos, muralhas, pirotecnia, né, grilhões e tal. E aí o Vini disse que ele achava bem divertido, né? Até tinha parte, né, quando a pirotecnia começava e dava aquela explosão, boom, né? E às vezes tinha perigo de incêndio, né? E aí, num outro dia, daí já não funcionava direito, então todo mundo ficava meio decepcionado, né? Porque faltava, porque às vezes as coisas não funcionavam como deveriam, né? Muitas vezes quebrava tudo e não dava certo, mas ele disse que ele gostava muito da estética, então, que eles usavam no palco.
Hey, Candice, it's getting dark out.
Oh yeah, now it's 7 p.m. here.
I see that.
Here in the south, it's darker this time of the year because as I'm near Argentina, and now it's almost autumn, almost fall, so we have less light.
Yeah, I see that. It's all gotten dark now.
Mark,
let me ask you. I was asking Dr. Mark. Go ahead.
No, please.
Mark, how many, I think you did also some photo shoots for for the promotion of the Heaven and Hell in 2005, plus the box set, right? The cover for the box set. I can hear you.
I cannot hear you, Mark.
Acho que travou.
Yeah, it's cutting out.
Now.
Deu uma cortadinha.
Mark, speak with us, please.
You know, do it in the now silence. No.
Oh, the battery probably went dead on this.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Now I know. All right. So, as I mentioned before, I think I mentioned before when that photo shoot I did, that I told the story about what going up to them and telling everyone to leave, and but that was my last shoot with them, and that was an amazing shoot. I mean, I was honored that they asked me. Here they have this reunion. I've also, I shot them in 1980. I shot them in 1991. Again, it seemed like when Vinny went with Ronnie and Vinny took me too. So it's like I have and I still work with Black Sabbath. I still work with Tony when he was with Eric Singer and Ray Gillen. I did those photo shoots, and then I did a video shoot with Tony Martin for Tony on the next one, and the other Ray Gillen, and I just keep moving forward. And I also, during all this, I'm shooting Ozzy too. So it's like, I never tell
the whole family.
I never tell the other ones. It's like having girlfriends, but I have multiple.
Right.
It's keeping the relationships up. And I never talk about the other band, you know what I mean? Because for whatever reason, there's nothing to talk about. They do their thing, I'm do theirs. But I'm fortunate enough to keep making, more connections and friends and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Aí o Regis está perguntando, né, sobre essas sessões de fotos com...
Não, o Paulo.
Ai, desculpa, Paulo. O Paulo estava perguntando sobre essas sessões de fotos, né, com o Black Sabbath e tal. E aí o Mark diz uma coisa bem interessante, né, porque então ele sempre era levado junto com o Vinny e o Ronnie, de quem ele era mais próximo, né, mas aí acabou acontecendo que ele continuou fotografando o Tony Iommi e também fotografava o Ozzy, mas ele disse que geralmente ele não falava de um para o outro, como tu não fala das tuas duas namoradas de uma para outra, né? Então ele não falava de uma banda para outra banda, mas ele sempre teve um bom relacionamento, as conexões foram acontecendo e foram se ampliando, né? Então no fim ele acabava trabalhando para o Dio, para o Ozzy e para o Tony Iommi também.
Legal. Over the years, you have seen rock stars with a very, very strong image. To the point that we immediately identify them in every photo. Is it important to work on it intentionally, work on a strong image, or is just the natural charisma enough to your view like a photographer?
Yeah, no, it's an image, just like they're, it's always imagery, and you want to mix the imagery with what they are trying to say. I mean, in the 90s, unfortunately for me, they didn't really care about photographers because they didn't care about image, and they just wore their flannel shirts and jeans. So the 80s was much about how you were presented to everyone and how you look in the magazines, and it was an amazing decade for, that's why all the kids had the magazine pages, the centerfolds and gatefolds hanging up in their rooms because, they identified with them. And that's why bands from the 80s will outlive, I feel, any decade following that, because even before that, because it was just such a strong decade of imagery that they relate to, and that they made them feel good by, dressing like them if they're in a cover band, and, going to school, because kids went to school in high school dressing like the rock stars. I mean, they even started wearing spandex for a couple of years, and everyone wanted to be like a rock star, even if you weren't, if you weren't in a band. So it's very much of the pop culture, Yeah.
O Regis fez uma pergunta bem interessante, ele disse o que acontecia, né, com as bandas, se era a imagem, né, essas bandas que têm uma imagem muito marcante, né, essa imagem era trabalhada intencionalmente, ou o Mark apenas pegava o carisma natural da banda e transformava. E o Mark disse que, na verdade, era uma coisa que se misturava, né, a banda já vinha tendo o que dizer, então o que o Mark fazia? Ele trabalhava o que a banda estava tentando passar, esse conceito de imagem. E ele diz, né, que os anos 80 foram riquíssimos nesse aspecto, porque naquela época, realmente, é uma questão da cultura pop dos anos 80, essa questão da imagem, do glam. Por exemplo, as revistas eram muito importantes, né, os jovens iam para as bancas, compravam as revistas, pegavam as páginas duplas, os posters penduravam no quarto, iam para a escola vestidos como os rockstars, e até ele brinca, né, que até mesmo o Vinny, naquela época, usava a calça colada, né, para ser um rockstar, mas ele diz que depois, nos anos 90, daí já não teve isso, porque era só na era do grunge, né, era flanela, jeans, e as bandas não se preocupavam tanto com a imagem, então, a época da imagem mesmo, era os anos 80, e por isso que parece uma coisa que dificilmente vai se repetir naquela intensidade.
Legal. Paulo, você tem mais alguma outra pergunta, meu caro?
The last one, I would like to know about Vinny. Vinny, what was the difference between, talking about image, okay, between the Vinny of Heaven and Hell before leaving Black Sabbath, leaving to Dio, and what was the image of Vinny in Dio?
Not so much black clothes. In Black Sabbath, is black clothes. In Dio, is a little bit more colorful, you know, and because the music was a little bit, it was still heavy rock, but not so doomy and evil as Black Sabbath. So Sabbath had to be more in black, you know.
Darker.
And, darker, yeah.
And this is something that you you decide before, or manager coming with this idea, or how you became with that thing? Okay, let's leave it the black, and now we have to put it more colors. How is the decision? I want that you explain, because there are so many musicians who listen our channel, and maybe it is very interesting that they know how is the decision between one and another.
Well, it's kind of the same thing as the music we play. Like we never really discussed it. When I went into Sabbath, they didn't say you have to wear black and a cross, and you know, it was whatever happened. You know, unless I came in with a white shirt with green pants, they go, wait a minute, you tone it down, you know. But it's just whatever happens with the band, really. And then I observed Tony and Geezer and Ronnie wearing a lot of dark colored clothes, and that's what I wore. Although there's some pictures of Geezer Butler had white pants on stage, white leather pants. So, you know, and it's the same thing with the music. Like Dio, we didn't sit there and go, let's make a great album. Let's do this. We just play. And it happened. It's all natural. Usually with any band, it's all the people involved in it that it's like a recipe. It comes together, and that's the band sound, you know. So there was just a little bit more, you know. Vivian wore a red shirt, you know, one of these cool shirts we all had the tight, skinny jeans, and Ronnie just wore some jeans that they was custom made and stuff. So it wasn't anything really planned out, you know. It wasn't like Poison, let's go shopping at the women's store and stuff. My stuff. We didn't do that. So. Get my sister's shoes. Yeah.
Não. Ok, let's go. O Paulo perguntou se o Vinny, como é que o Vinny pode explicar melhor essa questão toda do visual do look na transição dele, do Vinny, quando ele tocava com Black Sabbath, e depois quando ele saiu com o Dio para tocar com o Dio. Ele disse que, na verdade, a maior diferença foi que ele começou a usar menos roupas pretas, né? Ele usava menos roupas pretas, ele começou a ter um pouquinho mais de cor, né? Porque daí o som, né, do Dio já não era tão sombrio, né? Tão dark, tão maligno, né? Como o Black Sabbath. Então, ele se permitiu usar umas roupas um pouquinho mais coloridas. Mas nada, né? Até ele brinca, né? Nada como o Poison fazia, né? Que até ele brinca que o Poison ia comprar as roupas deles no departamento feminino, né, das lojas de departamento. E ele diz que, assim como a música, o que acontece com o visual dos integrantes de uma banda? Tudo acontece muito naturalmente, né? A banda, ela vem com um pacote completo, vai observando o que cada um integrante faz, o que cada um gosta, né? Eles vão misturando as tendências, né? Então, ele diz que tudo acontece de forma natural, que nunca houve uma imposição por parte do Tommy, tipo, usa uma cruz, usa uma roupa preta, não, ele apenas observava o que os caras usavam e ele acabava indo junto com os outros, né?
So, my friends, thank you so much, Vinny. Thank you so much, Mark.
I want to
Paulo.
tell you, there's a compilation album coming out. My friend.
Oh, really?
He Rock Free Day. His name is Felipe. He runs a company called Rock Free Day, and they're doing a compilation, I think, of all Brazilian bands, and I'm working with this new band, really heavy Sabbath kind of stuff, and there's a song on there that's going to come out. So. I don't know the name of the album, but it's Stone Cold is the name of the song. Really heavy song,
Right.
Really cool. So if you hear about it, check it out. But it's going to be coming out probably in the next couple of months.
Also, you know, Black Sabbath has the remasters, or you know, the packaging. You know, so that's out there, and they're actually used one of my photos for the publicity shots.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, really.
That's actually a good package, because when you open up, like the Mob Rules never opened up, but now you open it and it's all the stories from each of us, of what happened, how we recorded things, where, and stories of, you know, that time. So it's a really nice package, you know. I just got it.
Nice.
Check it out.
Yeah, it just came out. I got mine too.
Yeah, It's cool.
O Vini, antes de se despedir, ele está dizendo que logo vai sair uma faixa em que ele toca numa coletânea. O nome da faixa é Stone Cold, diz que é um som bem pesado, né, tipo Saba, e o nome da coletânea é Rock Free Day, né, então em alguns meses vai sair. E o Mark comentou que também tá para sair as remasterizações do Black Sabbath, que inclusive na publicidade, né, na divulgação, estão usando fotos do Mark nessa divulgação. Diz. E
Uh-oh. That's a good freeze.
No,
cortei, né? Sorry.
I don't know why to release a remastered Mob Rules, because the album has an amazing sound. It's one of my favorites.
I agree with you. It's like some of these classic albums are like, why you remaster?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was made in 1980. Warm sound, big sound. Then you come now and change it.
Yeah. Well, Mob Rules is one of my favorite Sabbath albums all time.
Yeah. I agree.
And why remaster a perfect sound? I don't understand. Really.
You sell more.
Yeah, sure. More money.
Sell more, yeah.
O Regis está questionando que ele não está entendendo por que essa moda das remasterizações, inclusive de álbuns clássicos,
não,
já
na
eram
verdade,
ótimos, né?
Não, desculpa, Candice, na verdade, o que eu não consigo entender, eu até aceito a remasterização em alguns discos que precisam, mas no caso do Mob Rules, que tem um
Mob Rules é perfeito,
absurdo, né? Não há necessidade, a não ser financeira, de soltar uma edição remaster.
Como o Vini disse, né? Rende mais, né? Vende mais.
This is in any language. Money.
Yeah.
Give me
probably money.
Give me the money. Hey, I want to tell everybody who's watching, the fans, I love coming down to Brazil and playing. I love the fans and the people. I love it there. I've been down probably 6, 7, 8 times already. And I really look forward to coming back. It's a really special place. Fans are special, and the people. So.
O Vini está dizendo que ele gostaria de dizer que ele adora vir para o Brasil, que já veio umas 6 ou 7 vezes para cá, e ele está louco para voltar, porque a plateia é especial, os fãs são especiais, ele gosta muito do povo brasileiro, então ele não vê a hora de voltar para cá.
I come down for money, yeah!
Yeah.
Only kidding.
Vini, next time when you come into Brazil, we do the interview, but in face, okay?
Yeah,
We're
I'll
great.
give you your email address, and I'll let you know when we book something.
Oh, that would be great.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
that'd be nice.
Good.
Yeah, that'd be nice. See all you guys. So, okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mark. Thank you.
Bye-bye,
Guys.
Vini.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Paulo. Thank you, Candice. Meus amigos,
Bye,
terminamos aqui.
Candice.
Bye-bye.
Terminamos aqui mais uma entrevista sensacional aqui no nosso canal. Exatamente. Esse livro espetacular, A Década do Rock, um dos livros mais fascinantes, não só em termos de fotos, mas em termos também de entrevistas e papos que o Mark colocou nesse livro. É um raio-x muito impressionante do que foi a década de 80, tá bom? Então, não esqueça de fazer a sua inscrição aqui no canal e adquirir os livros do Mark e do Paulo. E muito em breve nós voltaremos todos aqui, eu, Paulo e a sensacional Candice, em mais entrevistas internacionais aqui, tá bom? Então, um abraço, saúde para você, para sua família e para os seus amigos. Até mais.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
See you, Mark. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.